Good evening. It is 7:03 p.m. We have a packed agenda. I'm so excited to see so many people here. Thank you so much for joining us on this June 15th, right? June 15th meeting of the Somerville School Committee. We will have a moment of silence and a salute to the flag. Thank you. Superintendent, will you call the roll?
Through the chair, President Davis, Member Piton, Member Lippens,
Here.
Member Aldridge,
Present.
Member Green,
Here.
Dr. Stellman,
Here.
Mayor Wilson,
Present.
Member Piton,
Here.
Dr. Ackman.
Here.
With 7 members present, we have quorum.
Thank you. President Davis reached out to me and let me know that he would be late, so we'll note what time he comes in. All right, we are going to get started. Again, like I said, we have a packed agenda, and we're going to go with our celebratory reason that we're here. These retirees who have given so much of themselves to our district, and we get a moment to talk about how much we appreciate them and what we appreciate about them. Superintendent?
Thank you. So I want to start by just bringing us back to last week. We had our annual staff recognition ceremony. We celebrated the dedication and the achievements of our employees, honor our long-serving staff members, and recognized educators selected by their peers for their outstanding contributions to our district. So this evening, we continue that tradition of appreciation by recognizing 21 staff members who are retiring from Somerville Public Schools this year. We thank them for their years of service, commitment, and contributions to our students, families, colleagues, and community. Their impact in our district will be felt for years to come, and we are deeply grateful for all they have given to Somerville Public Schools. This evening, their supervisors will share remarks as we celebrate each retiree and recognize the lasting contributions they have made throughout their careers in our district. With that, we will begin. Okay, we begin with the Argenciano School.
Thank you so much. Through you, Chair. The Argenciano School community would like to recognize our physical education teacher, Christy Savage. Chris Savage is an extraordinary educator whose 33 years of service have left an immeasurable mark on our school district and, of course, in our school community. Throughout her career, she has inspired generations of students through her passion, dedication, and unwavering commitment to the growth and well-being of our children. She has mastered the art of making physical education engaging, fun, and meaningful, creating an environment where every child feels encouraged to participate, learn, and succeed. Her ability to build relationships, foster confidence, and make every child feel value is truly remarkable. Beloved by students, families, colleagues, and the entire community, she has become much more than a teacher. She is cherished part of the fabric of our school. While her retirement is well earned, her presence, influence, and legacy will be felt for years to come. We thank her for the 33 years of outstanding service, and I wish her nothing but happiness and fulfillment in the next chapter of her life.
Thank you.
Oh, my microphone was off.
All right, Andrea, you want to come up first? Sweet. Andrea Pease has already retired, so look how fresh she looks. I mean, my girl, my girl, my girl. All right, please congratulate Andrea Pease after 30 years of dedicated service in Somerville Public Schools. Andrea began her career with Somerville on December 1st in 1995, so it's fitting that she left a little bit earlier than the end of the school year. In SPS, she was an itinerant and had to work at different schools, including the Powderhouse Community School, Edgerly Center, the ECIP program at the East Somerville School, and St. Clemens. She then transitioned to the Capuano Early Childhood Center in September 2003 when it opened, and has been there ever since. Students have loved working with Ms. Pease because she has a lot of cool toys to play with, and we are cleaning out that office right now. There's still a lot of cool toys to play with. Her coworkers will miss her for being easygoing, pleasant, friendly, and always willing to lend a helping hand. Her smile will be missed, and it has been missed. I walk down the hallway and I'm like, where's my girl? Where's my girl? As she always offers when you pass her in the hallway. Congratulations, Andrea. We are so happy for you. All right, Jacqueline Lawrence. She came with the crew. Wes, perfect timing. Got your people with you. Jackie has her people, former and current students. Please join me in congratulating Jackie Lawrence for 38 years of dedicated service in Somerville Public Schools. Woo! Throughout her career, Jackie served as a special education teacher at the Edgerly Education Center, East Somerville Community School, and the Capuano Early Childhood Center. She's worked in the Early Childhood Center Early Childhood Intervention Program, teaching and supporting 3- and 4-year-old students during some of their most important developmental years. Her compassion, patience, and commitment made a lasting impact on countless children and families throughout the Somerville community. In addition to her work in the classroom, Jackie served for 10 years as president of the Somerville Teachers Association, now the SEU, providing strong leadership and dedicated advocacy for educators across the district. In 2019, she returned to the Capuano and the ECIP program, continuing her lifelong commitment to early childhood and special ed. As she begins this next chapter, very exciting time, Jackie looks forward to spending days on the beach in Falmouth. We're all coming to visit, tending to her ever-growing vegetable garden and cheering on Merrimack's women's lacrosse. Please join us in congratulating Jackie Lawrence on her retirement and thank her for nearly 4 decades of outstanding service to SPS. We wish her happiness, health, and all the best in her well-earned retirement. And as you can see, the Capuano Cubs are here, former and current. We are big sports people at the Capuano. As you can see me in my Cape Verde jersey. We got the New York Knicks that won. I know we're in Boston, but we celebrate West, so we got Bulls going on. We're happy. Let's take a photo. And keep going. We're the squad. Turn your bodies. Yay. Let's have her take a look. Mariana Way. Thank you. I don't believe Jerry's not here. Jerry Fullerton is not here. Right, Jerry? No, Jerry. Yep. Okay. I I will read Jerry's. Please congratulate Jerry Fullerton for 29 years of dedicated service in Somerville Public Schools. Jerry began her career in the SEEK program at the Kennedy School, where she worked for 6 years before transitioning to the Winter Hill and ultimately finding her home at the Michael E. Capuano Early Childhood Center. Throughout her years at Capuano, Jerry has been a steady and caring presence for our pre-K students, as she is often the first face they see each morning. Students love working with Ms. Fullerton, and her kindness and connection stay with them long after they leave the Capuano. Congratulations, Jerry. She retired in December.
Thank you, Principal Barros. We have now Steve Marshalls from the Jeff F. Kennedy.
We're here to celebrate Roxanne Screama, 36 years. 36 years of service. Roxanne, congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for the incredible dedication you have given to kindergarten students and their families over the years. Your warmth, patience, and unwavering commitment created a welcoming foundation for so many children as they begin their educational journey. You have not only taught young learners, but also comforted, guided, and supported countless families during such an important stage in their children's lives. The kindness and care you brought to your classroom each day made a lasting difference that will never be forgotten. Wishing you a retirement filled with happiness, relaxation, and all the joy you so richly deserve. Your impact will continue to be felt for years to come. We had a party at the school the other day. I have never seen so many people in that tot lot. And there was people from different schools that used to go to the Kennedy, and it was amazing.
That's great. That's great.
So I'll miss seeing you at 6:30. 6.
You get there late, you know.
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you, Principal Marshall. Now we have from the high school, Alicia Kirsten. Principal Kirsten.
We will begin in the order that's displayed there. We're going to begin with Marie Foreman. "27 years ago, Marie Foreman stepped into the Somerville High Math Department as a 9th grade teacher. At the time, she never imagined her greatest joy would eventually shift from solving equations with students to supporting and uplifting the incredible educators who teach them. Leading the department offered Marie a new perspective on the heart of SHS, a journey that expanded into her roles as assistant principal for the Elm community, then the Broadway community, and now the Beacon community. It has been truly a rich and rewarding experience. From the bricks of the old building to the halls of the new, Somerville High has been the backdrop of her entire career. She has watched students transform into leaders and colleagues become lifelong friends. A mentor to many, she has truly made this community her second home. As she retires from her role as Beacon assistant principal and the senior class advisor, Marie is effectively graduating alongside the class of 2026. While she may be leaving these halls, she remains an inseparable part of the family. Congratulations. You did also Assistant Principal Joelle Villegas. Somerville High School was lucky to have Mr. Joel Villegas for the final chapter of his career, though we wish it could have been longer. After 1 year as Dean of Students for the Elm community, Mr. Villegas was quickly promoted to Assistant Principal, a role he held for 3 years before announcing his retirement. Before joining Somerville, Mr. Villegas served in a variety of roles across several districts, including counselor, classroom teacher, METCO counselor director, director of school counseling, and more. We are fortunate that his path eventually brought him here to support Somerville students and their families. Mr. Villegas was especially proud to end his career working with the newcomer student population, supporting them as they navigated a new environment and culture, adjusted to their new school, and worked to achieve their educational goals. Students enjoyed chatting with him in his office, and colleagues appreciated his kind, supportive, and even-keeled nature. Mr. Villegas will be remembered for his ability to listen deeply, laugh loudly, and support students, families, and colleagues with warmth. Congratulations, Joelle. We wish you many joyful moments with your husband and puppy and many wonderful travels during retirement. Cheryl McGovern. Hi. After 37 years of dedication to schools, Cheryl has become a staple of Somerville High School. I believe you started at Tufts.
Yes, I did.
And then you worked at the West Somerville School as a substitute teacher, and then the Kennedy School as an administrative assistant for a combined 16 years. She then shifted to Somerville High School as an administrative assistant for the Highland community, where she has been for the past 11 years. Cheryl was known for building strong connections wherever she went. Back to school night, or as some call it, Cheryl McGovern night, families often waited in line to greet her and share some laughs. Cheryl was the backbone for Highland community and created a safe environment where all those who entered felt welcome. She even created and spearheaded the annual intern party celebration. She worked behind the scenes for the proms, semi-formals, class days, and graduations, and all were a success thanks to her hard work and attention to detail. We will miss Cheryl's updates on the Caddy, favorite new spot for veal parm, summer adventures in New Hampshire, and her latest excursion to Aruba. But mostly we will miss Cheryl's kindness, keen wit, signature laugh, and how we all felt when she was in the room. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. Two other folks are not here. As you can see, we have one member of each of our administrative communities leaving, which is a little bit sad. Teresa Francis is the SHS Senior Clerk in Broadway. We are incredibly grateful for the 15 years of service Teresa has provided to the students and staff at Somerville High School. As the administrative assistant in Broadway community, she's been a constant presence, a source of support, and a caring advocate for our students, families, and staff. Teresa genuinely loves her job, and her passion was evident in every interaction, every task, and every student she helped along the way. Her commitment to this school community has touched countless lives, and her absence will be felt by all of us. And then lastly, I'd like to recognize Maura Goodwin, physical education and health teacher. Maura Goodwin has demonstrated a long-standing and deeply rooted commitment to the students and community of Somerville Public Schools over the course of her 20-year career. Her work reflects not only sustained professional dedication, but also a personal connection to the district, grounded in strong family ties to Somerville. With her father also having served as an educator in Somerville, her connection to the community and its schools extends across generations, further strengthening her investment in its success. Throughout her time in SPS, Maura has consistently centered student growth, well-being, and engagement in her teaching practice. In the health and physical education content area, her presence represents continuity and stability in a field that continues to evolve and face shifting priorities. Educators like Maura play an important role in maintaining the integrity and visibility of the discipline, ensuring that students continue to receive meaningful instruction that supports lifelong health, fitness, and wellness. Her commitment helps sustain momentum in the department and reinforces the value of health and PE as a core part of a well-rounded education. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Kirsten. Now we have Director Arellano from the Special Ed Department.
Come on, Will. Will wanted a quick thank you and you can go, but I told him that that wasn't going to happen, so he's going to have to come up. There we go. Will has been a dedicated and compassionate advocate for students, families, and staff throughout his career in Somerville Public Schools. Whether he was serving as an assistant director of special education or as a special education coordinator, Will always put students first. He was known for going above and beyond, giving parents right out of district interviews, accompanying students on field trips, and providing hands-on support whenever it was needed. His thoughtful approach, commitment to inclusion, and willingness to help others have made a lasting impact in the special education department and our district. Will's kindness, dedication, and sense of humor will be greatly missed. We wish you, Will, all the best on this well-earned retirement. Congratulations. Yeah. And Sharon, unfortunately, couldn't be here with us, but Sharon has dedicated 28 years of service to Somerville Public Schools as a special educator, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to students and families throughout her career. Her advocacy for all learners has been an example to colleagues across the district, and her collaborative approach with staff has fostered strong relationships built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. Sharon's knowledge, compassion, and willingness to support others have had a lasting impact on our school community. In addition to her professional contribution, her sense of humor and positive presence in the special education department will be deeply missed. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Director Arellano. Now we have Principal Goslin from the Winter Hill School.
So, I'm proud to be up here tonight to talk about Nancy McQueenie. Nancy McQueenie has been in the Somerville Public Schools for 27 years, and for many years, Nancy has been the face of the Winter Hill Community Innovation School as the head clerk, or as she would say, as the school secretary. Every person who started at Winter Hill since she has been at the school remembers the first day they came to Winter Hill to interview and how Nancy welcomed them, chatted with them, calmed their nerves before the interview, and made them feel seen. Those feelings characterize every interaction with her. Whether it is a student coming to Winter Hill on their first day or a parent who is learning to navigate the American school system, Nancy's smile and kind words are infused in every interaction. The main office at Winter Hill is a very busy place, and Nancy can simultaneously answer the phone, answer the door buzzer, comfort a crying child, and find a form that a staff member needs that no one else can seem to find. She is the heart and soul of our school, keeping us running both logistically and emotionally. Her warmth, compassion, and genuine care for our community are deeply felt by all and are her lasting legacy. We wish her all the best on her next adventure, especially with her husband and her family in Maine. Linda, come on up. Linda. So Linda Walsh has been an educator in Somerville for 30 years and has spent many years of her career at the Winter Hill Community Innovation School. A multi-talented educator, in the last 10 years she has served as a resource room teacher, a 4th grade ELA and social studies teacher, and an inclusion teacher. From foundational reading skills to 8th grade math, Linda has taught, and sometimes had to learn it, but she's taught and learned it all. She has approached each role with the same enthusiasm as a teacher at the beginning of their career, willing to learn new curriculum and approaches and integrate them with her vast experience and expertise. She always maintains a calm and collected demeanor while holding students to high expectations and supporting their academic growth. Her students were incredibly fortunate to have had her as their teacher. We wish her all the best on her next adventure and her travels throughout the world. Congratulations. Joanne, come on. Joanne Taddeo has been an educator in the Somerville Public Schools for 27 years? 27 years, yes. In the last 10 years since I have been there, she has served as a paraprofessional in the AIM program for students who are on the autism spectrum. When Joanne works with her students, she always demonstrates patience, kindness, and compassion. She truly appreciates each student for who they are and the gifts they bring to our community. To her colleagues, she is a wonderful friend who listens, supports, and is always there for them. I know that her colleagues, her students, and I will miss her dearly. We wish her all the best on her next adventure and for those treasured moments with her family. Congratulations. That's yours. Here you go, this is yours.
Thank you, Principal Custom. Now, from Central Office, Joan White.
Today, we're here to celebrate an incredible milestone as Sabrina Caprino retires after 25 years of outstanding service to Somerville Public Schools. For 25 years, Sabrina has made the complex look easy, ensuring every employee was supported. Sabrina spent her first 16 years as the principal account clerk in the Somerville Continuing Education Program, where she maintained all payroll and purchasing records for the department. She was indisputably the right hand of all directors in her tenure. Her expertise, and a little poaching from me, led to her transition into the payroll department, where she served as payroll coordinator for 4 years before stepping into the leadership as our payroll manager for the last 4 years. Sabrina was met with more than a few challenges in this role. She met each challenge with tenacity, dedication, and an optimistic attitude. She is one of the hardest workers I've ever had the privilege of working with. She is a wonderful manager to her team and a valued member of what we call the Fin team. She has already begun her transition into retirement by moving to Florida to be close to her favorite place on earth, Disney World. Sabrina, we want to thank you for your leadership, integrity, and dedication over the last 25 years. It's a long time to spend in one place, and during that time, you have not only had a successful career, but you have touched the lives of so many, both personally and professionally, all along the way. You will be deeply missed by all, and we wish you a wonderful retirement.
Thank you, Joan. And now, Liz Doncaster, and I have the pleasure to make that announcement. Okay, so we have a resolution in honor of Liz Doncaster upon her retirement. So it goes something like this. Whereas we gather to recognize and honor the career of Director of Student Services, Elizabeth Liz Doncaster, and whereas she began her tenure with Somerville Public Schools on September 3rd, 2002, as a kindergarten teacher at the Capuano Early Childhood Center, where she quickly established herself as a dedicated educator and an advocate for young learners and their families. And whereas throughout her career, she embraced new opportunities to serve students, including her role as redirect teacher at the Kennedy School, beginning in September 2015, Assistant Director of Student Services in August 2017, and Director of Student Services beginning on July 1st, 2019. And whereas over the course of 24 years of dedicated service, she has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to students and their families, ensuring that each individual is met with care, respect, and meaningful support. And whereas her advocacy has strengthened critical systems of support across our schools, expanded access to essential services, and improved positive outcomes for countless students and families, and whereas beyond her professional accomplishments, she's known for her adventurous spirit and love of boating, eclipsed only by the adoration of her 2 children, and whereas we believe with full confidence that her legacy will continue to guide and inspire the work ahead. congratulations on your retirement. And this is you.
All right, and next up is no, Superintendent, you're gonna, there we go, is Regina Bertoldo. I see you. You coming up? There we go.
Regina's been with the Somerville Public Schools for 30 years. Advocacy and passion for the work like Regina's does not have a finish line, and we're all super excited to see what the next years bring. I have the pleasure of reading her resolution this evening. So whereas Regina Bertoldo emigrated from Taquaritinga, Sao Paulo, Brazil, to Somerville, Massachusetts on February the 16th, 1986, after earning her degree in English from Faculdades Integradas de Birissa. Good. And whereas Regina Bertoldo's lifelong dedication to language access began when she became one of Somerville Hospital's first Portuguese language interpreters, and in 1992 launched the hospital's inaugural Portuguese prenatal classes. Whereas Regina was instrumental in 1994 in developing the Parent Information Centre, the precursor to the SFLC, to support families with children from birth and up. And whereas Regina co-founded the Brazilian Women's Group in 1995 to promote political and cultural awareness and help the patient interpreter department at St. Elizabeth's Hospital to support multilingual families. And whereas in 1999, Regina became director of the Somerville Family Network, committed to a family engagement, and also served as the McKinney-Vento Homeless Education Liaison and coordinator of district-wide interpreter services. Whereas Regina became the director of the enrollment office, transforming the district's enrollment into a centralized, equitable process, making SPS one of the first districts to adopt online registration while maintaining vital in-person support for multilingual families. And whereas Regina became a founding member of the Somerville Sanctuary City Steering Committee in 2013 and convened the Unaccompanied Minors Network in 2014 to address the specific needs of youth. And whereas Regina has served as a dedicated local leader for over 3 decades through board memberships with the Somerville Community Corporation and the Massachusetts Alliance of Portuguese Speakers. And whereas Regina has demonstrated throughout her career a tireless commitment to racial and gender equity, dramatically diversifying the Somerville Public Schools workforce. And whereas Regina's vision of family engagement laid the groundwork for the eventual creation of the Somerville Public Schools Multilingual Services Team and the Office of Basic Needs and Housing Support Services, and on the city side, the Somerville Office of Housing Stability and the Somerville Office of Immigrant Affairs, formerly Somerviva. And whereas Regina has provided concrete pathways to stability and educational success for many students through the creation and innovation of SFLC's Office of Basic Needs and Housing Support Services, and whereas her influence spreads far beyond Somerville through her work with multiple state and regional organizations, and whereas Regina's visionary work is rooted in a profound commitment to eliminating barriers for immigrant populations, forever transforming the lives of thousands of local families through her fierce advocacy, systemic policy changes, and dedicated direct service, leaving a legacy that will uplift generations to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Somerville School Committee formally recognizes Regina Bertoldo's commitment to the people of Somerville through her transformational and ethical leadership, lifelong advocacy, and extraordinary service. Be it resolved that this resolution be recorded in the minutes of tonight's meeting and that a framed copy be presented to Regina Bertoldo.
With that, sorry, wiping some tears away, we are wishing you congratulations. We're going to take a 5-minute recess to please enjoy the cupcakes, because if they're left behind, we'll eat them. Please enjoy them. right, thank you for your patience. I know we have a lot more to get through, and we have people who have waited patiently so they could speak, so I would love to call my colleagues back. All right, I think we have quorum. So, again, thank you for being here. Thank you to our student reps, and the floor is yours. Amazing.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So tonight we're going to be doing a brief presentation, just recapping what we've done over this past school year and also our goals for the upcoming school year. So next slide. Yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so briefly to go through the agenda, we have a brief overview of our current work, including the 8th to 9th grade transition, the AAPI curriculum initiative and club funding, and then our future plans include circle implementation and student council collaboration. Okay.
All right, to start off with our with our 8th to 9th grade transition work, the AAPI curriculum initiative pulled off by Balvica, and some club funding that we did. All right, to start off with the 8th to 9th grade transition work, this year we worked really closely with Miss Thomas and Miss Maslon to basically use peer mentoring and restorative justice circle training that we received to help integrate the freshman class into the school community. We did that by putting into place peer mentoring circles in a place that was available to freshmen by putting them into groups and giving them mentors. And that basically helped ease the transition by giving the freshmen familiar faces in upperclassmen and more access to information. So yeah, on to Balvica.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll be short with this one because I gave a presentation about this already, but basically the AAPI curriculum initiative was something I took on this past year to incorporate more AAPI education into our pre-existing curriculum, and that included lessons integrated in the 10th grade history, U.S. history themes class, and some of the lessons I created will be implemented next year into the curriculum, which will reach about 300 students each year, which is really amazing. And going on to Harmony.
Yeah, moving on, so this year I had the opportunity to serve as a co-chair of the School Improvement Council. So my goal was to take initiative and have a better system for clubs. So seeing the challenges many clubs face due to budgeting and limited resources, I worked to advocate for increased funding and a more transparent allocation process. I had the wonderful opportunity to work with Principal Kirsten, Ms. Denalin, and other student leaders to strengthen the overall structure of clubs. I hope next year I can work with other student leaders and staff to create a better system for budgets for each club.
All right, now to our goals and plans for next year, which includes strengthening our 8th to 9th grade transition work, as well as some collaboration with the middle school student councils, as well as circle implementation district-wide, and we're gonna finish off with some of our goals for involvement in this school committee. To start off with, continuing from what I said earlier about the 8th to 9th grade transition plan, basically we're going to try to connect with our college and career team at the high school, as well as the team that presented last week on the topic of the transition, and we're going to organize visits for high school students to go and see each middle school and give them some advice and share insights about their experience. Our ultimate goal is to leave an infrastructure based in the transition that future members of the school committee, student representatives that they can build on. And yeah, so on to student council.
Yeah, so inspired by the students from the middle schools who presented last week, we really wanted to start a new initiative next year where we collaborate with the different student councils across the middle schools in SPS. And so our action plan for this is to first reach out to all the different middle schools, make that first connection, and then also streamline a student council layout for them to follow. And then lastly, to make sure that we connect with each council group to make SPS more connected. And this was a goal that was actually really important for us because we noticed as student representatives, we're meant to be student voices for all of SPS, but we noticed as high schoolers, we were really only able to share from our perspectives being in the high school, and we weren't really able to reach out to the middle school students or the elementary school students and understand what's going on in their schools and what's happening. So this initiative is something we really want to do next year to make sure that all of SPS is represented and not just like SHS in the high school. So to achieve this, our short-term goal is to form a connection with each of the student councils in the middle schools. The midterm goal is to meet regularly with them to make sure that we're able to bring back and relay their information to the school committee. And then lastly, our long-term goal is to have a system that can reach all SPF students and not just high schoolers.
Moving on to district-wide circle implementation. As a student myself, I have seen how powerful circles can be in giving students a voice. Especially this year, working with Ms. Thomas, we were able to implement circles for the freshmen and create more of a sense of belonging. So for a short-term goal, we would be beginning by meeting with school leaders and educators to discuss implementation. For a midterm goal, we would pilot circles in interested schools. But over time, our goal is to create a regular schedule for circles across Somerville Public Schools. And by involving stakeholders and even training high school peer mentors, we hope to help students feel more connected and supported in their schools. And moving on.
So one of the last things we wanted to mention is that next year we want to have some more increased involvement in the school committee. We really want to make a larger impact in the upcoming years because we've already seen that our voices can make an impact, and we want to be able to do even more and do as much as we can with the positions that we have. So one of the first things we want to do is have the student representatives start joining subcommittee meetings because this would provide students with real-world experience, and it would also allow the student reps to become more well-versed in what's occurring. Since we don't have these meetings too frequently, sometimes we don't have the full perspective. And then we also want to start meeting regularly with the full student council and Principal Kirsten. We had some struggles this year with communication between the members of the student council and sort of organizing it as a whole. So we want to, in the upcoming years, work more closely together with the other student council members so that we're all on the same page. And we also want to meet with Principal Kirsten to better understand Somerville High leadership goals and initiatives and also what's realistically possible. And then finally, we want to focus on one or two long-term projects that we can continue to update the school committee members on, because having a specific goal really makes it a lot easier to try and work towards change and really accomplishing something, and it will also help us to foster student leadership and commitment. So thanks everyone for coming to this meeting and for seeing our presentation. We're really grateful for the support we received from the school committee members, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without everyone's belief in our efforts.
We would also want to give special thanks to Mr. Nolan, Ms. Thomas, and Ms. Kirsten for supporting our initiatives and helping us be better leaders and acknowledging our voices and to make a positive change. Thank you.
Sorry, and I realized we never introduced ourselves, but you already know some of us, but I'm Bhavika Kalia, and we're all rising seniors. But if you want to.
I'm Peyton Gates.
And I'm Harmon Carr.
And I'm Marley Thrasher.
Okay, thank you.
If anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. That was absolutely inspirational. Thank you. We will go clockwise. Member Bitton, Dr. Stellman, Member Green, Member Lippens, and then we'll see. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, Marley, Pei, Harmon, Bhavika, you are such a tremendous asset to your school and to this room, like to this school committee. I can't tell you how much I personally have learned from you and the perspectives that you have brought to us. It's such a privilege to be able to support the initiatives that you have identified. And we just had a rules subcommittee meeting right before this meeting, and I have to tell you, our conversation changed because of the involvement that you have brought to this committee. So thank you, deeply thank you. And your request to be part of the conversation will drive our work forward. So I just want you to know that we're listening and we value what you've brought, and it's changing our conversation. Thank you.
Dr. Stellman.
Hi, good evening. Ms. Garcia, would you mind just flipping to the last slide, the slide before this one? So this evening, before this meeting, our rules subcommittee met. Mr. Bitton is our chair of that committee, and Member Lippens and I sit on it. And one of the things we do is we read the policies that we have for the district that inform the handbooks, and just we don't do the management of it, but we do the governance piece, we do the policy. And it's exactly what Member Bitton was saying, which is, and I can't remember if it was both of my colleagues, yes, okay, so it was Member Lippens said something to the effect of, my goodness, I wish these students were with us now, because we actually need their help on this. And that was really exciting, because it wasn't just a novel thought. It came because you told us, hey, we have some serious expertise that we would like to share with you, and we would like it to be shared. So I'm pointing out that very first one where it says, have the student representative join subcommittee meetings, provide students with crucial real-world experience, allow student reps to become more well-versed in what is occurring. And the missing third bullet point is to deeply enrich the Somerville Public School policies with the actual voices and experiences and lived experiences of their students. So I want to just say that we would like to formally invite you, and I don't know how this is going to work, and you'll figure that out. But we want to invite you to join us because we have some really sticky policies that we do need your help with, and we'll send that along to through Ms. Garcia, and it will reach you somehow magically. So you'll have a heads up to look at the policies that we're having some trouble with, and want to hear what your thoughts are. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Member Green.
So I think I will take the luxury of speaking for myself, Member Bitton, maybe Chair Ackerman as well, who've been on the school committee for a while. When I say two things, one, this has been the most engaged, most active, most vocal, and I mean that is the highest compliment I can give, student reps we've had in any of our time here. And I think most of us have really wanted to figure out ways to get many of these things to happen, as far as deepening your work as student representatives on the school committee. So I am beyond thrilled to hear there's interest in joining subcommittees and what have you, because like most deliberative government bodies, subcommittees are where a lot of the real work happens, and so having your voices as full participants in those meetings will only improve the quality of the work, and I'm so thrilled there's interest in it. And I am confident that we will find ways to do that, that recognize that you are all very busy students, and this is not your only activity. But I'm so thrilled about that. As the parent of a child of the class of 2032, I'm very excited to see who's actually having a conversation with their kid today about how they figure out how they ease their way into high school and how that goes. I am personally invested in seeing how you manage that over next year for the class of 2031. And you all are just such an amazing antidote for how easy it is to get cynical about the processes, about possibilities for change, about the future. I am thrilled to see what you've done this last year, and I cannot wait to see how you build on it next year.
Thank you.
Member Lippens.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Yes, as my colleagues pointed out, I was going to raise up, like, we do want you. We were having a conversation in our committee about student organizations, and I had remembered, your thoughts, and we had attended these meetings, and I'm like, oh, well, they want to get involved, and this is a perfect opportunity. So I'm really thrilled for your initiative in that, and I also am very excited. I have a middle schooler as well, and very excited about this, your action plan, your ideas to support our middle schoolers who also are future high school students who I hope they have the leadership skills that you all are so eloquently and make it so easy to look and how to get involved. So thank you for sharing your voices.
Thank you.
Superintendent.
I just wanted to highlight the fact that I heard something to the point that you made around strengthening the restorative justice circles and bringing that lower to the middle school. That to me is really where we develop the skills of students to facilitate conflict in a way that is very developmentally appropriate. And really excited to know that the structures that we're using are being sticky, and so the fact that you're bringing them to the middle school in a developmental process from the student up, if you will, is really the dream of a system. Is that right? So thank you very much for that. I really think that that's an investment that we have made over the years, and is an investment that once it's carried out in this fashion is really the best way to strengthen and to empower students to make choices. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will note that my kids go to Healy. I met with one of the counselors there today, and he oversees like 8th grade transition to the high school. He's going to try and pilot a class next year, and I said specifically, I know there are student leaders who are very interested in pushing in. One of the new APs at the high school is transitioning from Healy, so I'm confident those connections will be made. But he was inspired to know that student leaders are like already steps ahead, and very excited to partner with you and your peers next year. Dr. Selman.
Hi, I'll just keep this short. I did write a note, but I forgot to read it. Succession planning. So when you said, oh, we're all rising seniors, I thought, oh no, what? So I just a request for you and the teachers that you work with to think about how you're going to help build that succession. So just putting that out there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, actually, so for next year, we have, I think, 3 or 4 juniors, rising juniors, and a rising sophomore on the team. So we're totally going to involve them in everything, so they're going to carry things on. So no worries about that at all right now.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. This is awesome. All right, we're moving on to item 4, public comment. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here for those who have signed up for public comment. Speakers will be allowed 2 minutes to present their material. Speakers should begin their comments by stating their name and address, or in the case of a district employee, their role within the district. The chair of the meeting, after warning, reserves the right to terminate speech which is not constitutionally protected because it constitutes true threats that are likely to provoke a violent reaction and cause a breach of the peace or incitement to imminent lawless conduct. Public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between the public and the committee. Members of the committee will not reply to public comment in the course of the meeting, though individual members may follow up and items from public comment may be taken up in future meetings. The school committee will not hear personal complaints of school personnel nor against any member of the school community in public session. Individuals may address topics on the agenda or items within the school committee's scope of responsibilities, such as the district budget, goals and policies, or the role of the superintendent. You are encouraged to submit your comments in writing for inclusion in the public record. So we're going to start with the people who are here. Thank you for the time. And I will read 3 names so you know when you're coming, and then we will go to Zoom. So we have Gretchen Breon Meisels to start. Oh, and please have grace if I mispronounce your name. Please don't hesitate to correct me. Gretchen Breon Meisels, Diane Mulray, and Jessica Wygoda. Gretchen, whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gretchen Breon Meisels. I live on Wallace Street. I have 2 children, a rising 7th grader at the Kennedy and a rising 10th grader at Somerville High. But I'm here really in my role as a researcher. I work at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, and I supported Interim Superintendent Curley in 2022 with the study that removed SROs from SHS. At that point, my doctoral students and I facilitated 14 focus groups at Somerville High and in the community with over 90 students. Those included groups that represented a number of specific student demographics, such as the GSA, the Black Student Union, a Latinx student club, en route, Elm House, and Next Wave Full Circle, among others. At the time, we asked students to comment on 3 options around an SRO: having an SRO in the building, having no SRO, and calling the SPD when there was an emergency, which is the current state of affairs, and having no SRO but partnering with SPD to have a community police officer who was already familiar with the school and assigned to stand by as needed. The students leaned toward option 3, although some students were in favor of an SRO, and my understanding at that point was that option 3 was the goal, but that mayor's office was unable to make it happen, and that an MOU between that mayor's office and the school and the city police did not happen. I want to note that we have a new mayor and a new chief of police at this point, so it's a very different context than we were in. I'm here because I think it's really important that the young people's voices from that study not get overlooked in this moment 3 years later. I see my role as really amplifying what I was told by young people at the high school. And at that point, there were a number of concerns about bias and the need for training around trauma sensitivity and working with adolescents, as well as confusion around what the role of an SRO or a CPO might be, and students' inability of knowing. Okay, I'll stop. As well as relationships with students and de-escalation tactics. So I'm happy to talk more to folks, but what I really want to say is that I think this has been a very binary conversation, and that the actual solution may be in an MOU between the mayor's office and the police. Thanks. And I would love to come back.
We have Diane Mulray, Jessica Wygoda, and Shayna Berger.
Hello, I'm a little bit nervous. It's the first time we're doing something like this. I'm a lifetime resident. My name is Mrs. Diane Murray. I live at 23 Electric Ave. I'm just here for the SROs to be in the schools. I think it'd be good for the schools. It'd be good for if it's undercover. And I feel for the safety for the children. The high school, I don't see there's anything wrong with it. I don't feel the child is intimidated by the SRO. It's just my opinion. And I've gone to some high school. It's a great school. Public schools are good. Like I said, it's a great school. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We have Jessica Wygoda, Shayna Berger, and Daniel W.
Hi, my name is Jess Wygoda. I live at 26 Grandview, and my kiddo is a first grader at Argenciano. I'm with Safe Schools Somerville, and we think it's important to walk through the slide deck and presentation from last week's school committee meeting. The presentation illustrated exactly why, after 3 years of inaction, the 2023 recommendations need to be implemented now. The presentation illustrated the very real issues facing the high school administration, all issues that could be solved with an off-site police officer, otherwise known as an SLO. SLO. The presentation illustrated a very clear lack of understanding of state law around policing in schools, as well as a clear lack of understanding of the 2023 recommendations. The presentation was also based on anecdotes rather than data, and fear and feelings rather than known facts. We're going to walk through the slide deck and provide additional information from the 2023 recommendations, and corrections were warranted. Thank you. So we're going to start with slide 4, building on prior recommendations. This slide mischaracterizes the prior recommendations. The 2023 recommendations do not incorporate school-based police support. Rather, they recommended an off-site police officer. The memo itself reads that the superintendent worked to establish an MOU with the SPD focused on calling an off-site SLO. The recommendations do not include relationship building because this is harmful to students and not needed during school hours. The recommendations do not discuss specialized training. Rather, the recommendations direct the use of the Massachusetts State Model MOU with changes in 4 specific ways. Finally and tellingly, the 2023 recommendations do not mention student discipline. This is because Massachusetts state law prohibits police from serving as school disciplinarians or enforcers of school regulations. So this is not a choice we get or a conversation we need to have. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Jess. We have Shayna Berger, Daniel W., and then Kelsey Clark. Shayna's not here. Okay. Well, we will keep the seat open should she come back. Daniel, then Kelsey Clark, then Jess Adams.
Hello, my name is Daniel Wong. I live at 12 Houghton Street. I will address last week's slide 5, titled Current Context. Again, this slide contains gross mischaracterizations. It claimed that Somerville High is the only high school in the greater Boston area without an SRO, when in fact, the following schools do not have SROs: Brookline, Boston, Concord, Newton, and Watertown. We are far from alone. As we engage in negotiations with the police department, the specificity of our words matter. The 2023 recommendations explicitly call for the creation of an SLO position, which would enable student and staff interactions with police in a way that lessens the harm of those interactions. The slide also noted 300 interactions with the police in 2025. This number in itself is neither bad nor good. The specifics of those interactions matter, and tracking of outcomes for students is what matters. We have asked for information on these, and to date, the district has not been able to follow up in a lawful and timely manner on requests for information. Across Massachusetts, police routinely report 0 school-based arrests to school departments, who then put those numbers in school safety reports. But after FOIAs and media investigations, those numbers routinely double or even triple. This is the case in Boston, Springfield, and Worcester, to name a few. Finally, we do not think our school leaders should have to manage the difficult burden of building relationships between students and police. We think this is something best left to parents and families to manage outside of the school, especially because all of the literature suggests that there are no benefit to SROs and in fact cause a wide variety of harms to students. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Kelsey, then Jess Adams, then Rafea Rakib.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Clark. I live at 67 Church Street. I'm a high school special education teacher, a licensed social worker, and a parent of an Argenziano first grader. I'll address slides 6 and 7. We do not want SPD to police or discipline our students, and big picture. Mass state law dictates that police may not be used for discipline, so our wants or opinions on this issue do not matter. State law does. These slides and the conversation around them last week indicated a lack of understanding of the law and MOU options. On slide 7, high school administrators stated that they, quote, feel strongly that having a dedicated officer as a trusted member of the school community will increase safety and well-being. These feelings simply have no basis in evidence. A large body of research tells us that placing armed police officers in schools makes schools less safe, particularly for Black and brown students, multilingual learners, and students with disabilities. An off-site SLO, as previously recommended, would be able to address the needs administrators identified while mitigating the negative safety effects of placing an armed officer inside the school building. We appreciate administrators highlighting on slide 6 strategies like restorative practices, community engagement specialists, mediation, and other non-punitive programs. All evidence indicates that heavy investment in wraparound supports like these increases school safety and belonging and lowers calls for police. But by our own district's reporting of disciplinary outcomes, we're not investing enough in these wraparound supports. At SHS right now, if you're a kid with a disability or a multilingual learner, you're twice as likely to be suspended as your non-disabled or native English-speaking peers. If you're Black, you're almost 6 times as likely to be suspended as your white peers. And if you're a student at Full Circle, there's a 36% chance that you'll be suspended from school. These numbers, based on my own professional experience, are very high and would make me extra wary of introducing police into the school environment. The numbers show us that the schools need to continue to build evidence-based, holistic student support with a focus on creating an equitable and welcoming school climate for all kids. We as community members are ready and willing to assist with that work in any way possible. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Jess Adams, Rafaya Rakib, and Melissa Duarte.
Hi, Jess Adams, 3 Porter Street, parent of 3 kids at the Kennedy, all with different disabilities, all proud little Latinas. I will address slide 8. We already rely on SPD to keep students and staff safe. We acknowledge that police are part of our community and that some students are deeply involved in supports that require interactions with police. This slide is troubling to us because none of the things listed on them require on-site police officers. All of them can be handled with an off-site SLO. Additionally, many of them can be solved without using a police officer. We're lucky to live in a city with experts that are not police and who understand that child development, technology, creating safe spaces for kids outside of school, around sports and other activities. As a bonus, many of these adults want to deepen community based on relationships with our students. This is not meant pejoratively, but even officers who get training to be in schools don't understand child development well enough to run developmentally appropriate workshops. Police have other very different training, skills, and tools. As Member Green asked at the first conversation of this topic this year, what is the problem we're trying to solve, and why is the solution an armed officer inside schools? To our reading of this slide, none of these problems require SRO as a solution. And in the words of my 11-year-old sitting in the audience, Sunshine Adams, some things can do more harm than good. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Rafaya, Melissa, and Meg DiMaggio.
Hi there, my name is Rafaya, and I live at 174 Morrison Avenue. I will address slide 9. Even with supports in 2025, over 330 SPD dispatches to SHS. We will again note that the district and police department are both currently out of compliance with state law and record requests responses around these items. 1, budget for mental, social, or emotional health support personnel for the school, and 2, the number of school-based arrests, citations, and court referrals for the past years. So while we're happy to see some data, we know that this is incomplete data, and we know that this data does not fully track to student outcomes. Given that the overwhelming majority of these calls are to respond to incidents outside of the school and in dealing with non-students, it is also clear that an off-site SLO would be the better responder. Any of the things that would require in-school presence appear to fall into the bucket of the three reasons that schools could invoke police presence via the 2023 recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa, Meg, and then Laura Curiel.
Hello, my name is Melissa Duarte. I live at 9 Florence Terrace. I will
address slide 10. A dedicated officer will provide advantages over the current model. We agree that a dedicated officer will provide advantages of the current model. The dedicated officer should not be an SRO. We understand that the current state of affairs is not the model. It is where we've failed to support our principles and implement the 2023 recommendations. The current state is an interim solution put in place so the superintendent and the mayor could make the 2023 recommendations by the school committee happen, but they never did. In the intervening 3 years, it has never been updated to the community or the school committee about how the negotiations are progressing and how the school committee recommendations are being implemented. Of course, the current situation is unattainable. We want to be very clear. A dedicated officer based off-site and called an SLO will solve all of the things laid out in slide 10 to support the high school administration, the staff, without invoking the known harms of an SRO onto our students. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Meg, then Laura, then Kevin Foster.
Hello, my name is Meg DiMaggio, and I live at 14 Bailey Street. I will address slide 13, preliminary themes from focus groups. We are deeply concerned about the work behind this slide and the way it is characterized. At a top level, captive conversations run by a trusted adult with whom children or families have an existing relationship in which those individuals are asked highly leading and misleading questions are not focus groups. The 2023 round of focus groups with students was led by a Harvard professor. The 2026 slide detailing what the administration actually asked students negates everything said about student responses. An upcoming comment will read those questions again for you into the record because every single one of them assumed the decision to reinstate an SRO had been made. Not a single one asked youth what they think is the best choice. Additionally, this smacks of, we didn't like the outcomes of the previous process, so we're going to critique the previous process itself. We're seeing this pattern play out at the federal level currently and are not looking to replicate this in Somerville. It also appears that in these conversations, the 2023 process and recommendations were not shared or explained. Similarly, the themes from the 2023 process were not shared last week here. We also know that there was no open call for participation in these conversations and that requests to participate were ignored or shot down. We anticipate there was no consent acquired from participants of their families before these conversations. This lack of consent is a pattern, and it illustrates why the district is unprepared to manage an on-site police officer. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Laura, then Kevin Foster, then Marianne McPherson.
My name is Laura Curiel, and I live at 31 Dartmouth Street, number 3. I'm an SPS parent, and prior to my current work as a speech-language pathologist in hospitals, I worked with youth in K through 12, both in schools and in their communities for over a decade. I will address slide 14, what our neighbors are saying. We're glad to see the Public Safety for All survey in this slide. The same survey indicated overwhelming support for not invoking police in instances of property crime. However, this is one place where we believe the 2023 recommendations can be improved upon. The 2023 recommendations do permit administrators to invoke police onto campus for instances of property crime, and we believe that this carve-out could be eliminated in the final MOU. Also, this slide is used in a misleading way. The question here is, do the Somerville Police Department officers in your neighborhood make you feel safe? Which is a radically different question than would armed SPD officers based full-time in your school make you feel safe? Conflating these two is not something we should do if we're attempting to have earnest, honest, transparent conversations about this topic. Officers in school increase the opportunity for non-consensual interactions between students and police officers. Evidence shows that students do not understand that these interactions build one-way trust and that anything a student shares with an officer can and will be used against them. This is different from the trust built between students and teachers or students and counselors, where that trust can be used to provide appropriate, non-carceral support for students and their families. Finally, the full survey cherry-picked for this slide also indicated for this same question that 46% of our neighbors with disabilities said almost never or never, while 56% of neighbors who identified as members of the LGBTQIA+ community said almost never or never in response to does the SPD make you feel safe? Thank you.
Thank you. We have Kevin, Marianne, and then Eric. Ludwig.
Hey everybody, my name is Kevin Foster. I live at 34 Putnam Street. I'm going to address slide 15, which is what our neighboring district's doing and saying. Point number 1 says, DESI data shows no school-based arrests in surrounding school districts with SROs for the past 3 years. In 2018, Massachusetts passed an act relative to criminal justice reform. With this bill, the legislator created the Juvenile Justice Policy and Data Board, or JJPAD, to look at data trends around juvenile disciplinary measures in schools. In 2020, it was reported by the Boston Globe that the Boston School District had only 4 in-person arrests via DESI in schools in Boston. After an investigation by the Globe, it found that the actual number of arrests for that year of school-based arrests was 114. Worcester reported 0 arrests in the 2019-2020 school year. Citizens for Juvenile Justice found at least 4 arrests. The quality of data became such a problem that in the 2020 police reform bill passed by the State House had a provision that directed DESI to report school-based arrests. On this note, the latest JJPAD annual report, which is from the state of Massachusetts, on whether this implementation has been successful, the board finds, quote, data quality concerns remain given the small number of school districts reporting data and the very low counts reported by some large schools. This is not reliable data. This is not data we should be basing our choices on. The further points on the slide highlight the clear contradiction that having an SRO in schools highlights. They are supposed to be a part of a, quote, team-based approach and even lead after-school programs, but they should also stay in their lane of enforcing the law on teenagers, on children. A team-based approach to incidents would be outlined clearly in an MOU which does not include SROs in schools and instead had SLOs, which school admins would work with on any external threat. There is no need for any child going to school to need to know a police officer. After-school activities should be funded and led by adults who children can trust, those without badges, guns, and the powers of arrest and surveillance.
Thank you. We have Marianne, Eric, and then Jamal Halwa.
Good evening, my name is Marianne McPherson. I live at 10 Grandview Ave and have children finishing 8th and 11th grade in the district this week. I'm also a researcher and run focus groups professionally, and I will address slide 16, questions asked in focus groups. I respectfully and firmly disagree on 2 points regarding the nature of the conversations held with students. First, that the meetings held were actually focus groups, and second, that the questions that students were asked could actually uncover student, staff, or family needs, opinions about police in schools, or ideas on how to best meet stated needs. The reason for this disagreement is that the questions as written lead participants to a specific response based on an unstated and untrue assumption that the decision to reinstate an SRO already had been made. I'll now read these questions that were asked into the record from slide 16. Question 1, what qualities are we looking for in the person? Implied here that the person is the SRO. What experience, what training, what attributes and characteristics? 2, what are some effective ways to introduce the SRO to the community? 3, what types of workshops or trainings would you like the SRO to offer? 4, what are your concerns about having an SRO? Similarly biased and misleading questions that appeared on the district website for families included, what should the mechanisms for ongoing feedback regarding an SRO be? What would success look like at the end of year 1 with an SRO? What would your level of comfort be with an SRO in the high school building? Each of these questions presumes that a decision already has been made to have an SRO in the building. Not a single question asks youth or families what they think is the best choice and why. At last week's meeting, I was thrilled to hear Mayor Wilson's support for implementing the 2023 recommendations. I hear the very real concerns of high school leaders, and I believe that our interests are aligned, and that implementing the recommendations is the way forward. I again offer my support and collaboration in any way I can provide them. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Eric Ludwig, Jamal Hawa, and then Camilla I apologize. Makadali, I hope, is close.
You have
Eric,
the hardest
go
job.
ahead.
Saying people's names.
Thank you.
My name is Eric Ludwig. I live on Berkeley Street in Ward 3, and I have children going into the 8th and 5th grades. Thank you for your attention as we walked through this deck from last week. As we've made clear tonight and previously, we're very interested in being an active partner in this work rather than an antagonist. Respectfully, the past few weeks have felt like either an effort in wasting our time or some seriously non-creative approaches to real problems. Neither feels true to our city and the processes that we've been through as a community. While it's frustrating that our advocacy group is needed to step in and do some heavy lifting, but because it's taken over 3 years and it appears that the vision and creativity required to meet Somerville's needs are lacking, we are taking it upon ourselves to do some work. We're marking up a copy of the state model MOU with the changes as recommended by this committee in 2023. While incredibly meaningful, these changes are minor, which is part of our frustration. We're also documenting how all the things in the slide deck could be solved by an SLO, as well as how this intersects with the chief's goal of community policing. It's nice to have an officer here this evening. We'll package this all up. We'll deliver you all hard copies or digital copies, whatever you want, to everybody on this committee, so that you have some stuff to work with. We'll also include the comparison that we delivered to this body 3 years ago, which compares the state model MOU and the people's MOU, which we commissioned, so that you can see what we think great would look like. We continue to stand ready to assist in implementing the 2023 recommendations, monitoring the progress of those implementations, and tweaking things once we have the data, because we know that a first attempt is not going to be perfect. If there's a real desire to reopen the earlier process, we also know and are worried that that will divert the attention of this body from the academic needs of the students of Somerville, which we think should be the priority here. A police officer in the school will not change the material reality of our teachers being overstretched and our schools underfunded. This is not the way we fully support our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Jamal Hawa, Camilla, and then Amo Slugger, I hope.
Good evening. My name is Jamal Halawa. I'm a 14-year veteran at the high school, and I've lived in Somerville for 21 years. I've seen the effects of incarceration on our students and their families. I can tell you the academic and emotional outcomes are derailing. So I say no to an SRO in our schools, as do the overwhelming majority of my students and my colleagues. One of those teachers, who has been a champion of our most vulnerable students, calling loudly for immigrant rights, for trans liberation, for justice for the victims of the ongoing genocide of Palestinians, spoke last week against the SRO proposal. I should say he's also a hell of a teacher, dedicated, hardworking, teaching with love. He spoke last week about an SRO in our school, pointing out that our administration's lack of transparency and community outreach has been very visible as they make their unilateral decision to ignore the recommendations of this body and the SEU to install an armed police officer in our school. This teacher knows, as many of us do, that when a cop is patrolling our schools, the outcomes are really bad for our students. That teacher was informed today that he was not renewed 1 week after speaking his mind about SROs and 2 months after the customary deadline to let teachers know they're not renewed. I hate to imagine what will happen to teachers and students who do not toe the line of administration or this body, a member of whom has called for the discipline of children, calling for a ceasefire in Palestine.
What kind of authoritative clampdown will be placed on our rights to free expression if an armed police officer is allowed to patrol and observe us at all times? What new levels of chilling and silencing will be enacted then?
Next, we have Camilla Amo and then Sarah Campbell.
Good evening. My name is Camilla Makdouli. I live on 49 Franklin Street, and I'm finishing my junior year at Somerville High School. I'm here because I'm concerned about the in-school safety of our school for myself and my classmates. We've been doing our research and understand that schools with school resource officers see over 3.5 times the number of arrests of students compared to the schools without an armed officer in the building. These schools also see decreased rates in graduation. We learned that Black and brown students and students with disabilities are more harshly impacted by a school resource officer. We learned that schools with SROs have weaker sense of community, and students even end up trusting law enforcement less. We want to see more counselors and social emotional support for ourselves as students, and understand that the school committee already decided to try a different path in 2023. I'd strongly urge the school committee to pursue the 2023 path. At my time at this school, I have seen absolutely no need for law enforcement within our school. We do not need or want a police officer inside of our high school. And I'd just like to say I've attended a few schools, and this is by far one of the safest one I have seen. So even the idea of an officer in our school was very shocking to me, and it is an extremely unnecessary and a just course of action. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have Amo Slager, Sarah Campbell, and Ksenia. I apologize, I'm not going to make an attempt at your last name. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Anna Slager. I live at 87 Newton Street, and I'm a special education paraprofessional at the Capuano. One of my colleagues was fired today on the last possible day of non-renewal. He spoke out against armed police presence in schools to this body last week. And as such, it does not feel quite safe to speak to you guys tonight because I feel retaliation, which is protected under the SCU, but he was fired nonetheless. However, I must say this. I work with students, predominantly Black and brown students with severe disabilities. They are brilliant, and they are kind, and they are students for whom Somerville should be very proud. I intend to see them graduate in many years and look forward to that day. However, overwhelming evidence suggests armed police presence in schools is a threat to their safety. Black and brown students with disabilities Black and brown students and students with disabilities are disproportionately singled out for arrests, criminal citations, and receive criminal citations for relatively minor school offenses. A study by Harvard on police presence in schools reports exposure to police violence leads to persistent decreases in grades, increased incidence of emotional disturbance, and lower rates of high school completion and college enrollment for Black and Latino students. Student stops by school police officers are found to be a potent predictor of emotional distress and post-traumatic stress symptoms. In the time when we must heed the calls of Black Lives Matter and ICE Out, why is Somerville considering such unfound and financially wasteful use of resources, especially when we have a tight budget already? As the district often strives for equity, armed school officers are shown to increase inequitable outcomes. My students are less likely to graduate high school and enroll in university if we allowed armed SROs back into our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Sarah Campbell and then Ksenia.
Hello, my name is Sarah Campbell. I live at 18A Troll Street, and I'm the parent of a 3rd grader at Brown and a 6th grader at Kennedy. I'm here today to speak about the size of the new Winter Hill Community School, where the city is proposing to build a 925-student school. I ask this committee to say no to this proposal, as a 925-student school is too large for the elementary grades in Somerville. This will mean at least 5
5 and possibly 6 classes per grade. I do not understand how we as a community can reconcile placing such a large school in a community with a high proportion of minority and English language learners, while wealthier, whiter schools will have only 2 classes per grade. And that this push to do this is justified by at least a decade of underinvestment in the Winter Hill Community School building and grounds. As a parent with a child at Kennedy, I have recently heard concerns about having 3 classes per grade in the middle school grades at one of the widest schools in the district, and ensuring there's enough support from the district. And yet, do we really think that we're going to provide enough support to a poorer, more minority school with more needs? I do not think so. And I also come here, well, I'm really impressed by everyone else here today, and I would like to say that it's clear to me that you're concerned about systemic effects of the decisions that the school committee is making. And I think the size of this school is one step closer to the institutionalization that you're concerned about at the high school with the SROs. It's easier to do this kind of SRO system when you have a large school. So I implore the other people here today to also consider school size and to help us with this effort as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have Ksenia.
Hello, my name is Ksenia Samakhvalova. I live at 75 Irving Street in West Somerville. I have a 3rd grader at the Brown School, the 7th grader who went to the Brown from K through 5th grade and is now at the West. I'm here to advocate for the new Winter Hill Community School to be rebuilt at 690 seats and not the 925 mega school size. This school, as proposed, will be bigger than the biggest K-8 school in Somerville. It's on a small lot in the middle of densely populated neighborhood. This will double the traffic, double the number of kids using the same green space. It will probably need to have even less green space. It will eliminate one of 3 elementary school options in West Somerville, will combine 2 of the smallest schools together, and will cost more than the school that's the right size for our city. I have asked for many documents from the city of Somerville and the school district, and I haven't gotten them. Things like gap analysis study, which would evaluate the impact of consolidating Brown with Winter Hill, traffic and safety studies. I have asked and have not received a plan from the district that would describe the process for determining local support for the preferred enrollment option. I don't believe this document exists, and yet it is a condition from MSBA for submitting the 925-seat school as the preferred solution. I hear the city tell us, with citing no studies, that there is no evidence that smaller schools are better, and yet there is research that shows that smaller schools consistently produce equal or better academic outcomes and other benefits like improved student behavior, high attendance, fewer dropouts, more positive teacher attitudes, and those are the strongest for low-income and minority students. Thank you.
Thank you. We are moving on to our Zoom public comment. There's 2. There's Anna Feingold and Jeremiah Hay. Anna, you are off mute whenever you're ready.
Good evening.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
95 Franklin Street. I have a child at East in the neighborhood school. I'm following up on my comment from last week about having a police officer at the high school. I was grateful to hear the high school team's presentation. I had no idea the situation they were facing, and I have respect and gratitude for the work they've been doing. I'm a white resident and speaking for myself and my family. I'm also speaking from my work experience as a post-conviction lawyer and from that perspective on our carceral and penal systems. I care about high school administrators getting the support they need, I came away from their presentation with some questions about who should be added to their team. First, does this person need to be a police officer? When I look at the list of reasons that the high school calls the police, it doesn't seem that law enforcement is needed for most of them. One example is responding to a victim of a crime. What I see in my work is that it's often better if it's not an officer. Officers, like DAs, don't have a duty to the victim. They have a duty to the city and to the public writ large, and that duty to investigate and prosecute can actually conflict with the needs of an individual victim in the moment, and that misalignment can cause a lot of harm. My second question is, does this person need to be armed? It seems like they don't, and this would certainly respond to the concerns of residents. Third, where is the training going to come from? De-escalation, trauma-informed care, adolescent brain development. I'm so glad the high school sees training in these areas as vital. Police officers don't come with that training, and don't we want an expert in those things, not someone with supplemental training in them? Finally, what gave me the most pause is the statement, we want a police officer, but we don't want them to police our students. My question is this realistic? I fear it is not. Police have a job to find facts that can be used to prosecute crime, and it is a conflict of interest to take someone whose duty is to use what they see and hear for those purposes and set them up as a safe and trusted community member that students should share openly with. I want administrators to have the support they need, but I am very concerned about expecting police not to police. Thank you.
We have Jeremiah Hay. You are unmuted whenever you're ready.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good evening to all the public servants there serving the public. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I want to speak out about the closure of the Brown School. I think essentially we have a limited amount of money, and there are many, many important and wonderful ways that we can spend a lot of money on our schools. I think we should do that. Closing an excellent school to build a ludicrously large building that is much, much bigger than is necessary while spending much, much more than we need to spend is not one of them. The Werner Hill School absolutely needs a new school building. The Brown School, not only an excellent school, but one with a truly excellent administration and teaching staff, does not need to close. The mayor won the last election by about 2,000 votes. That is not the kind of mandate he's acting like he has. Groundbreaking is a great photo op, but it's followed by years and years and years of cost overruns and budget overruns and construction delays. Like, that's the reality. You get to do the photo, and then every other article for the next 8 years is about that thing costing more and taking longer than you said. A bad idea to discount is still a bad idea. Brown School is an excellent school. We should build a smaller site for the Werner Hill building. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we conclude public comment. Again, we deeply appreciate your time, your words, your investment. Thank you so much. All right, we are moving on to item 5 on the agenda, which is approval of minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the May 18th meeting.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Member Bitton, seconded by Member Lippens. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. We are moving on to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you, through the chair. Given we have some members of the SCALE program and some students here, so I just want to make sure that I shift, that will be the top of my report. So I wanted to have provide an update on our strategic plan and the progress that has been made across each of our core priorities: academic excellence, equity and access, wellness and joy, and family and community engagement. So that's what we continue to do. This plan has set up the guidelines and the framework to approach the work that we do as a district, and making sure that our efforts are aligned and are consistent, and that the outcomes that matter most are at the forefront of the work. I'm going to have Chief of Staff Amara Nosiki and Director of Data and Assessment and Accountability Sam Melagin, who are here this evening to share a comprehensive breakdown of where we are and what are the areas of growth and the highlights that we have in our plan. And tonight we will be also joined by 2 graduates from SCALE. Both are also parents in our system. And so we're pleased to welcome Jessica Resendez of the Paraeducator Training Program and the elected president of the SCALE Student Leadership Council, and Starlin Pichardo of the Facilities Maintenance Program. So welcome to all of you. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amara Anasike, and I am the Chief of Staff and Strategy for the district, and I'm here with...
Hello, everyone. Samantha Elagine, Director of Data Assessment Accountability.
So we are, obviously we'll be joined by Jessica in a moment, but we are all here excited to provide an update on the strategic plan for the district, which serves as the roadmap of all of the work we do across our schools and community. The information in this update is a result of input from our colleagues across the entire district, and we're just standing here as team members and representatives of all of that work. What we will share is not an exhaustive list of what we're doing in the district, but it is a good summary, and it does provide an update. We are very grateful to Dr. Carmona and to Dr. Jessica Boston Davis for their leadership, our fellow staff across the district, students, and families who have shaped the implementation of this work. So we have a very simple but important agenda today. We will share about the mission and vision, progress on our goals, family listening sessions, and next steps. You will also hear from an amazing student from SCALE today. All right, so we've shared the vision many times here before, but we wanted to do it again because it is very important. This is what we look to when we're doing the day-to-day tasks of implementing the strategic plan and running the district. So we envision a student-centered learning community where every student, honoring their unique strengths and background, is empowered to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally through tailored supports and equitable access to opportunity. Our primary mission is to cultivate inspired learners who are equipped to make a positive impact on the world. We achieve this by fostering rigorous and joyful learning environments where students, families, and staff and community partners collaborate with a shared commitment to academic excellence and well-being.
All right, so beginning with our first priority area of academic excellence, which is rooted in promoting equitable outcomes and enabling targeted supports based on need by focusing on quality curriculum, instructional rigor, multi-tiered systems of support, with an emphasis on strengthening supports for multilingual learners and for our students with disabilities. All right, so this year we really worked to strengthen our MTSS child study team structures and systems, and we piloted a behavioral screener in partnership with Boston Children's Hospital. We introduced Sunday Systems, which is a multisensory reading intervention program, and 20 special educators and ESL educators were trained in this program. Many of our school instructional leadership teams have introduced or continued with learning walks, which are meant to understand the instructional trends in their schools and make progress on their school improvement plan goals. We've also invested an additional $100,000 to the curriculum budget to support the rollout of high-quality instructional materials. There was a SEI 1 working group that was completed with a focus on strengthening newcomer transitions to general ed settings, as well as the Inclusive Practices Co-Teaching Working Group and the Middle Grades Experience Working Group, which you heard from last week. There was also a special ed and intervention service delivery review and final report, which was shared. And lastly, our DILT this year, our district instructional leadership team, had several working groups that were focused on strengthening X-Block, providing resources for supporting diverse learners, scaling learning walks across the district, and creating cohesion across different types of professional development in the district. All right. So that was some of the work that we've completed so far this year, but of course the work is never done. So we also have several things in progress. So one of those being a revamp of the coaching model. So we are planning to have an instructional coach in each of the schools to focus on inclusive practices, instructional rigor, and equitable access to grade level content for our students. We're also planning to add 2 math interventionists to our team. We have our ongoing curriculum rollouts with Wit and Wisdom and Foundations rolling out in grades K through 2, and Amplify Science curriculum for middle grade students. We're also in year 2 of the Barr Foundation Strengthening School Leadership Grant, which is focused on providing professional development and support to our principals and other instructional leaders as well. Some of the key data that we want to highlight, just focused in this priority area, include, again, the fact that we now have high-quality instructional materials that are going to be available in reading and math for all grades, as well as preliminary access data from this year that's showing really positive signs of growth for our multilingual learners. We're really excited about that, and we look forward to sharing more on that in the fall when the results are officially released. We also are excited from our 2025-2026 LEA annual IDEA LEA determination results, which showed that we're now designated as meeting requirements. Now, in addition to these things, we also just wanted to highlight some specific data as well. So you'll see here on this slide that we have the results of learning walks that we've done in partnership with TNTP and the Learning Acceleration Network, focused on the fish tank curriculum implementation. And this is basically showing walkthrough data that we have in 3 core areas. So the focus of this is to really strengthen the implementation of the curriculum rollout with a specific focus on multilingual learners. You'll see the data here on this slide. It was gathered by a team of administrators, educators, coaches, CPT leaders as they did walkthroughs through classrooms that are implementing this curriculum. Really focus on these 3 core areas to figure out how each classroom was doing based off of reading and listening comprehension core actions. So you'll see that RLC Core Action 1 is really showing that the majority of our classrooms are teaching in ways that focus on high quality texts. RLC Core Action 2 shows that 93% of classrooms this year are somewhat, mostly, or fully engaging in tasks that integrate standards and build comprehension of text. And then you'll also see that RLC Core Action 3 is showing that we're really shifting the thinking back to students, and currently 67% of classrooms are mostly or fully structuring lessons in a way that makes students responsible for doing the thinking. So we're moving in the right direction. In addition to this walkthrough data, we also have, our assessment data, such as the DIBELS and the iReady that we use to monitor progress. So this slide here shows a snapshot of our end-of-year DIBELS data, comparing the end-of-year period across 3 years, from school year 23-24 up until this year. The DIBELS is an assessment of foundational reading skills like phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. On the chart in this slide, you'll see that the main takeaway here is that for students in grades 1 through 3, each year we're seeing approximately 2/3 of our students that are ending the year at or above grade level, and that's represented by the dark and light blue shaded bars on the graph. And so in school year 23-24, that was 66% of students. Last year, that was 68% of students, and this year we ended with also 68% of students. And I'll turn it over to, sorry, missing one more thing here. So as I mentioned, we just reviewed DIBELS, but we also have some overview data of iReady as well, similarly comparing the end of year period across 3 years. So on the left, we have the reading data, and on the right, we have the math data. And you'll notice that in both, we've ended the year with a higher proportion of students that are mid or above or early on, which is basically at or above grade level at the end of the school year. So 54% of our students were at or above grade level at the end of the year this year for reading, and 49% of students were at or above grade level for math. And that's up from the previous 2 years, as you can see in the chart here, in the dark blue and the light blue on the graphs. All right, and I'll turn it over to Amara to talk about some highlights around equity and access.
Thank you, Sam. So priority number 2 is equity and access. This priority is embedded in the fabric of what we do as a district and is not limited to what we are sharing today or even to one priority area. That being said, under this priority area, our focus is to address persistent gaps, expand equitable access to OST, CTE, and SCALE, and ensure welcoming facilities. So we've taken a number of steps to advance equitable access across the district. A few highlights include increased access to out-of-school time, SCALE, and CTE programming. SCALE has experienced significant growth guided by the leadership of Director Jocelyn Marte, who has been such an effective and innovative spark for that department. Soon you will hear from a SCALE student who can describe for herself the amazing work taking place, Jessica Resendez. And also, other highlights include a new equity-driven funding formula led by Dr. Beretta, MSBA advancement for the new K-8 school, which has been a collaborative effort with our school leaders, district and administrative leaders, and city staff in the mayor's office. Middle grade systems that allow for student voice and leadership opportunities, and facility enhancement that support family and community engagement. The work of equity and access is progressive by nature. We are continuing to make progress on our goals, including by strengthening Tier 1 instruction through inclusive practices, professional development, laying the foundation for an AIM expansion, completing much-needed facility updates that will enable better functionality for all learners, and more. In terms of key indicators, you can see the specific enrollment increases across SCALE, CTE, and out-of-school time. These are significant and speak to the commitment and excellence of folks like Jim Hatchie, Rosanna Parabello, and Director Jocelyn Marte and their teams. We also see evidence of our partnership with the city on maintenance improving over time, with a 10% percentage point increase in the completion of rodent control requests being handled compared to last year. So here we have some data showing an increase in the percentage of diverse staff and a decrease in the relative gap between diverse staff compared with our diverse student population. The blue bars show the percent of our staff from 2023 compared with 2025 broken out by race. The red and pink shades show our student population broken out by race and year. You see here that there has been a 3.3 percentage point increase of our diverse staff population and a 3.9% point decrease in the relative gap when comparing our diverse student population with our diverse staff population. This means that as a district, we are making progress in reflecting the populations that we serve. With that, I want to quickly kick it over to Jessica from SCALE, and she can share briefly about some of the impact that this department has had on her and the community.
Hello, good evening. My name is Jessica Resendez Hernandez, and I've been a proud Somerville resident for 30 years, president of the SCALE Student Leadership, and a mother of 4 children of the Somerville Public Schools, 2 at Somerville High and 2 at East Somerville, an 8th grader and a 6th grader. My hands are full. This is my home, and having a resource like SCALE is a secret weapon, and that we're not using to the full potential, which I believe we should be using. To understand why I'm so passionate about SCALE, before becoming a student, before ever knowing what SCALE was, just to give you a little background, I spent 18 years in the airline industry. I was a manager. I ran an airline out of Boston, here out of Boston for a small little airline, a Portuguese airline. I ran Boston Airport. I ran for New York Airline. I did Bermuda, so I was traveling all over the world, everywhere. I did 18 years, and then out of nowhere, my whole life changed. Out of 18 years, I didn't know what to do. My life just ended at the age of 38. That's how old I am. Mother of 4, rock bottom. Didn't know what to do. My life needs to continue. I can't just show my kids that it just ends. No clear direction, nowhere to turn. SCALE became our turning point. It opened the door when I thought it was too late to start over. It gave me a second chance, not just in education, but to rebuild my life. Through SCALE, I found a new path to the ParaPro program, and it rebuilt my life. Through SCALE, I found a new job. Well, hopefully I find a new job. I graduated on June 10th. I passed my parapro test. The first time I did not pass, and I did not give up, and it gave me fire under my wings, and I passed it the second time. And as a child of immigrant parents and a long lifetime member of the community, I want to give back. And many Scale students and parents of the Somerville Public School, we want to grow and succeed and give our children the option to do the same. We're not just changing individual lives, we're strengthening the families in our community. This is why I'm here today, because Scale just didn't help me, it saved me. It gave me something to live for, it gave me a purpose. It just helped me. It saved me, and I just want to make sure I gave the same opportunity. It opens doors, and it helps others, not just me. Thank you.
I mean, it's going to be hard, but to follow that, but we will keep going. Thank you so much, Jessica and Jocelyn. We really appreciate you all. So let's get to priority number 3, which is wellness and joy. We have committed to achieving this by implementing quality social emotional learning curriculum, leveraging teams focused on promoting well-being and preventing escalated behaviors, expanding clubs and OST offerings with a focus on community building, and celebrating educators. So here we have some information on our action steps for wellness and joy priority. We have our annual SPS New Educator and Mentor Celebration, and this year we rolled out a new Mentor of the Year award. We also had our second annual staff recognition ceremony. I know Member Patone joins us year after year. We appreciate your presence. It's an amazing time of like true joy and celebration of each other. It's really great. We also have expanded club offerings at many of our schools. Launched a new student equity-based formula led by, this is it, yep. And Dr. Beretta, I believe, was a part of this, and Principal Kirsten. And also, our Somerville High School Highlander robotics team made it to the World Championships. Woo! Top 20% worldwide. Also, our middle school peer mentors continues to be a highlight across our district, and so there's a lot of joy going around. In terms of action steps, we're continuing to implement restorative justice circles. We heard from some of our student reps today. We launched an SPS in-print newspaper, thanks to Communications Director Daryl Nash. We've expanded access to working on womanhood. We appreciate the funding for that. And phase 1 of the new playground at the Kennedy is beginning this month. So some key indicators here, we see decreases in conduct incidents, chronic absenteeism, and an increase in attendance rates. Our Conditions for Learning survey is showing that 92% of our students feel their school values their diversity of the community, and 73% of students said they enjoy going to their school. Kick it over to Sam.
All right, so that brings us to our 4th priority area, which is focused on family and community engagement. This is really centered around creating clear, accessible, and streamlined communication channels with families and more opportunities for engagement and strengthening community partnerships. All right, so here we have some of the actions that we've completed around this priority area this year. So we've increased our online social media engagement by about 10%. We've published a retroactive budget book for fiscal year 26 and revamped our finance subcommittee to provide clear reports and increase transparency. We partnered with the CPAC to participate with the Apple Institute. We offered workshops to families that were centered around new curriculum, iReady, and bilingualism. We offered an additional career pipeline program through SCALE, such as the Paraeducator Pipeline Program, Certified Nursing Assistant, and more. We strengthened our partnerships with the Elizabeth Peabody House, with Summer Spot, Nova, BAM, WOW, and more. We held 5 family listening sessions, which were focused on out-of-school time, MLE, and special education. And we had a parent-teacher conference working group to dig into improvements that we could make in that area. All right. So again, we have some work that we're really proud of that is continuing this year and into next year. We're continuing our ongoing collaboration with the CPAC and the Apple Institute. We're expanding the use of Arbiter as a single point of entry and registration for families that are looking to access after-school and summer programming for their children. We developed new communication platforms like the newspaper and podcast that Amara had mentioned. We're publishing a fiscal year 27 budget book. We're offering an online payment option for clubs and extracurriculars at SHS. We're continuing to do regular tabling at the monthly free food markets and having community partners that can share important resources with families at those events. Some of the data that we've collected around family and community engagement includes the August 2025 Get Ready for School Fair, which we've now hosted for, I believe, 2 years in a row, which was attended by over 1,000 people, with 47 community partners participating and a 92% satisfaction rating. We've connected with 380 families per month through the food markets that we host. We've provided pre-K through 8 tours to 297 prospective families. We've had 111 registrants for the Getting Ready for Kindergarten info session, and we've offered 9 early beginning parent education trainings. We had 24 attendees at the Math and ELA curriculum workshop trainings with a 95% satisfaction rating. We had 85 views on the illustrative mathematics curriculum video, and we had 15 attendees at the bilingualism and the brain workshop. All right. So we're really committed to continuing to create meaningful opportunities to engage with families as partners in the work through listening sessions. So we had 5 of those listening sessions this year, and families were able to come and really share their thoughts, their priorities, and key areas as it relates to the strategic plan. 4 of these listening sessions were focused on out-of-school time and on special education. So for special education, families identified the variety and quality of OST programming, positive relationships, and quality of out-of-school time staff, and increased access for immigrant families as strengths that they've noticed over the past several years as things have changed. And they also highlighted a need for communication that's accessible, transparent, and equitable, ongoing financial strain, and the need for access for students with disabilities as ongoing barriers in this area. For our out-of-school time listening sessions, families identified supportive staff, positive relationships with school staff, and student-centered focus. They also identified some positive communication and sense of community and belonging as strengths that they've noticed over the past couple of years. But they also highlighted ongoing communication barriers about understanding the IEP process, as well as cultural and language barriers. They also highlighted a need for more social-emotional support for students as barriers as well. In addition to these listening sessions that we conducted this year, the SFLC also regularly conducts what we call pulse checks, where they really go into the community to meet families where they are, whether it be food markets or conversations with school liaisons or SPS parents at scale, to really just get a quick bit of feedback on a range of topics. This year that ranged from things like out-of-school time to parent-teacher conferences to just multilingual learner supports and programming. All right, and I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Amara.
Thank you, Sam. So we just have some next steps here for you. We will continue to implement the strategic plan. The ways we do that is through our school improvement plans, through professional development, and progress monitoring. We will also continue to use data to drive decision making. We do have a data dashboard built by the one and only Sam, and then also Open Architects. Sam also leads that work with Arundhati. Biannual progress progress updates to the school committee, and we will continue to engage student, staff, families, and community partners in listening sessions with website updates, through working groups, and of course through our pulse checks. And with that, we really just want to thank all the students, staff, families, the committee, everybody who's watching online, who's here tonight, who've been a part of the development and implementation of the strategic plan. Also, many staff, the superintendent's executive team, and those listed there who contributed to this presentation. Thank you. We are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. That was a lovely, inspiring way to go into the end of the school year. All right, we're going to go clockwise again. Mayor Wilson, then Member Green, Member Eldridge, Member Lippens, and I will then check for first round again. Mayor Wilson.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for the update. Always fascinating to see where we're doing well, where we still need to do some work. Just more of a comment, actually definitely a comment, not a question. I want to thank the Chief of Staff for being a really, really good partner for us here in the first months of our administration. You were so easy to work with here. I'm saying this because the Chief is, I think this is our final school committee meeting that you'll be here with us. You were there for those weekly cabinet meetings, and it was such a benefit to have you in the room at the table for those discussions of how we can collaborate better, especially around school building and school facilities. And again, I can't thank you enough for being a really good partner. As part of the SPS administration, you will be missed, and I'm just very, very grateful for you, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Mayor, and all.
I think the mayor speaks for all of us when he says those things. Member Green.
Yeah, I'm going to let the mayor speak to your importance. Sorry, I have your cell phone number. I'm going to keep texting you. And what I'm going to say here is not a criticism of this process, which is amazing, but a recognition of the real limits of our June meetings. This is because of graduation, our June meetings are always back to back, which meant that we had a lot of information to process and not much time to process it. And it's deep, rich information, and I want more time to process it. So I'm going to ask the chair if we can put this back on the agenda for our first meeting our second meeting in this meeting, so I can actually ask questions, because I still need more time to dig in this, to ask more than most superficial questions.
That makes sense. Member Eldridge.
Thank you. Through the chair. This was a great presentation. It was really helpful, especially as a new member, figuring out where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. I really appreciate that. I know there's a lot of hard work that went into that, into creating the slides, but then also all the behind-the-scenes tracking of information and stuff like that. I wanted to make a request. I'm wondering if some of this great progress that we're seeing, like with Dibbles and iReady, if it could also be on the data dashboard in a disaggregate formula so we can look at it alongside MCAS data. I think it'd be really helpful going forward to see that information. And I think it's also really valuable to have it as public information. And I would love the opportunity to look at it and ask questions and just try to best understand it myself. Thanks.
Thank you. Member Lippens.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I just want to appreciate Member Green's suggestion. This is like a great presentation full of so much information, and I myself would love some more time to digest, especially being a new school committee member. And my comment is actually a little bit, and question is a little bit more specific. I really, truly appreciate the district's ongoing commitment to the coaching model. And as we look at revamping the structure, I guess I want to make sure we're explicitly addressing the needs of our teachers and by extension our students. From experience, like we know that teaching a new curriculum requires like a lot more than just general teaching strategies. And don't get me wrong, like they can apply to both ELA and math. But when you have a new curriculum that you're asking of teachers, it really makes sense to have somebody who's really knowledgeable in the curriculum itself. So with that, I'm wondering if I can have a little bit more context about the decision. Also, given that we currently only have one instructional coach per building, which is absolutely a step in the right direction, I'm just wondering, how do we ensure we're not stretching one person too thin? And I'd love to hear more about the specific vision for this and how we as a district plan to monitor the effectiveness of this particular model, and how we might even think about, given that we're an equity-driven, we want to be data-informed. So I'm just thinking like long-term, like we're going to go through this model with our given funding, one coach per building. So I'm just asking the district what the plan is for moving forward and how are we going to assess?
Through the chair, I don't know if the superintendent or, okay.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think that you asked multiple questions or a question around a model of the, no, I'm not, I'm just thinking about what to respond and what is the time to respond. I think that what I heard is that you wanted to hear also have more data or more time to process the information that was shared. I think that I would say let's add that question to the coaching model, because I think it will do a disservice just to speak to a couple of questions that you asked that require some extending that response. So I would ask that if we can actually add that to the conversation.
Absolutely. And I did ask multiple questions because I am just trying to understand, the theory. And like Mr. Green suggested, it is a great presentation, so much good information, and I'm trying to do my due diligence and understand it. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else? First round before we go to second. Member Bitton, and then Member Eldridge.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, to the team. Yeah, I almost don't know where to start here. There's so much information, and I'm grateful to my colleagues for the extension on the assignment. I think the broad takeaway from all of the data and summaries is we're moving in the right direction. And I think that's clear across the board in all areas of in all of our 4 priorities, the indicators are all sort of trending in the right direction. So there's so much good news here. And I want to better understand, so I'm very data oriented as well. I want to understand a little more, if we could flip to slide 10, which is priority 1, academic excellence, and looking at key indicators, reading and math iReady results for grades 3 through 8.
It's going to take a little time with the clicker.
Boy, with all the animation, man.
Thank you, Erica.
That's awesome. Thank you. Great. So what I would love a little bit of context on with this slide, if you will indulge me, is what do those different categories, mid, above, early on, 1 below, 2 below, 3 below, indicate about the students who fell into those categories?
Yeah, no problem. So basically with the iReady, the results that you get overall relative placements, which are these 5 categories that you see here, but you also get like a grade level placement. So a student could take the assessment, that's a 3rd grade, that's a 3rd grader, for instance. And if they were to take the assessment and only master the content of, say, 2nd grade, they'd be considered 1 grade level below. But say that 3rd grade student only master content from kindergarten, right? They might be 3 or more grade levels below. So it's relative to how the student performed relative to their grade levels standards and content. Yeah. Okay, that's very helpful. So let's say again we're talking about a fifth grade student, and these assessments are, I see it's spring, so this would be sort of at the end of the school year. And so if it's mid-above, I understand that that student has mastered the concepts expected under reading or math at the fifth grade level. If it's early on and it's in the spring time frame, does that mean that they're reading or performing math at a grade level that would be for what they would be expected to be knowing or performing at early in the fifth grade, so they're still somewhat behind? And I don't, again, I'm not a teacher, so I don't. Yeah, no, that's a great question.
Okay. If the speakers are comfortable, it seems like Member Lippens has a response.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. I look at data, as my colleagues know, and iReady. I just want to say something about iReady. So this is a snapshot. And I think that word snapshot is really like one, students take this test 3 times a year. I think we've recently, myself included, put a lot of weight into the results, but this is really just one indicator. So, what this really doesn't show necessarily is the growth students make. It doesn't show you that one student who's maybe on a early fifth grade level at the end of fifth grade, maybe they made 219%. So, the data that you're looking at is just kind of like a window into what we want. And I think Member Eldridge's suggestion about looking at demographics and trends is really where we kind of, I think, might give us a better indicator of where is the district moving in the right direction. So that is my take on it. I'm happy to defer to my other colleagues. I just wanted to put my little iReady hat on for a minute, and I'm happy to answer other questions.
Do you also have a follow-up? Okay.
Thank you, Member Lippens. I'm really glad that you said that, and I just want to just thinking back on the presentations we have heard from the principals across the district and how important it was to have an aggregate of these snapshots along the way. One, because it's actually very motivating for the students, families, teachers, admin, but also just it gives more dimension to the data. And I feel like it's a good slide, but it's missing, for me, it's missing the dimension of it's missing some more dimensionality that I think it could have by aggregating more snapshots together. Thank you.
Sure. Go ahead, Member Bouton.
Thank you, Chair, through you. And just briefly to follow up, I appreciate, and I think that the sort of additional dimension within the data that we're seeing, would help. And for the public, for those of us who do not look at the data like my colleague every day, having the context and background trends, even within a single grade level, within a single year, is extraordinarily helpful. But I do think it's important to be precise and the colors of the different bars really suggests, a positivity or negativity in the reading. So when I see the light blue, it says this is good, we're moving in the right direction, and I think that may be the case. But just the additional context would really help me in disaggregating the information. Thank you.
All right, Member Eldridge.
kind of building off of that a little bit through the chair, in the endeavor of data-informed decision-making, right? I definitely think data is wildly helpful and again, would really love to learn a little bit more. Do you think it might be possible as we look at school improvement plans going forward to have this consistency of data reflected there as well? I know there's a couple different ways that we can follow, like iReady, where we can look at growth percentiles, and it kind of would vary from school to school at times, so it was really hard to follow along when one school is reporting, student growth percentiles, and then others presenting dibbles. Like it was just hard to. But if we could see maybe like a snapshot of all of them across the board, that would be so wildly helpful. Again, kind of providing that layered context of really understanding it all and all the nuances of it would be really great. Thanks.
Thank you for the feedback.
All right, since we still have quite a full agenda, and I feel like we're going to, with only 50% of you, but we'll be looking at this again in the fall. I'm going to thank you again, Chief. You will be dearly missed. Your hard work has been deeply, deeply, deeply appreciated, and we wish you just uproarious success as you go on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Thank you again, Amara and Sam, for the work. Now I want to refer to a memo that is included in your packet this evening. It was provided as an SAU update on our continued partnership with the city to maintain safe and healthy school facilities. So the update outlines ongoing collaborative efforts, current priorities, and recent progress in supporting the effective operation of our buildings to ensure safe, clean, and welcoming environments for students and staff. So that's in your packet. That was part of the structures that were set up with the SEU and the city, and so that will give you a reference of where we stand in terms of the progress for facilities.
Are there any questions on the memo? All right. Superintendent?
Great, and so that's the extent of the report, and yep, that's the end.
All right. Wonderful. We're only 2.5 hours in. All right. Can we go to reports from subcommittees? Do I have a motion for ed programs?
It's not been submitted, so
It wasn't submitted. That is my mistake. Then we will take that up in August. All right. Is there MSBA unfinished business that...
Yes, so we have just a couple of updates I want to share. So as you know, the MSBA schedule it continues to be part of the development for the summer. We will be hearing from MSBA as soon as we can. That information will inform the next report that we have. We also want to share that we have an engagement with our CPAC has set up a session in which we are inviting all our families of neurodivergent students to learn more about the upcoming building project. Families are invited to a virtual meeting on Friday, June 26, from 10 to 11, and this obviously is a Zoom event, and the details have been included in the city's project website. And in collaboration with the CPAC, we have helped arrange this important session with project architects from Perkins Eastman and city staff to better understand the community's vision for how the new building can best support neurodivergent learners. And again, we're awaiting the MSBA feedback on the educational programming, which is going to be soon completed as soon as we receive the information and the feedback on the submission that we had early in the summer, actually late in the spring. We also have a meeting with the Brown PTA on June 22nd. It is a virtual meeting, and we are expecting to engage with the Brown PTA as well. And we have also an extensive feedback from the community regarding how the new school building may impact enrollment and catchment areas. And there's a comprehensive review of this issue is currently underway. And in the meantime, I know that we're working with Chair Ackman in leading this work. There is an ad hoc committee that is going to be examining the relevant data and the projections to help determine the most appropriate pathway forward. That work is done in collaboration with the district as well and the SEU. And that's that on the MSBA.
Thank you. Yes, and I would like to share deep appreciation for everyone who has applied to be on that ad hoc subcommittee. I had very high hopes of convening them before the end of the school year and making decisions, and those obviously have not come to fruition. It is going to be, after the Juneteenth holiday weekend, it will be the first thing I do. People will be notified. I will, I know it is harder after school year, but we will make sure if you are chosen that you are, we will make every effort to contact you and make sure that you are aware. And thank you for the commitment from the community, from the commitment from our union partners, from the commitment of district staff. And yes, apologies, I take on the responsibility that we didn't get together, but it is slowly moving forward, and will be convening in the fall, and that I can commit to. Yeah.
I just wanted to add that there is greater complexity on this process, and so we actually have are working with one of our Harvard fellows who actually did their work in the district. I think that looking at the issue of our enrollment plan as well as the catchment areas has a lot of implications for the district, and I want to make sure that that work is not done just in isolation. And so we are trying to find a way to facilitate this process in a way that is consistent and systematic. So that also has delayed a little bit the process. So that securing of the facilitation process with an outside support was finalized recently.
Member Patel.
Thank you. Through you, just acknowledging and respecting how complicated this process is and how it's going to have an outside impact on the district. So I'm glad that everyone is taking their time. And also thinking about this process, it can be challenging sometimes when we launch a subcommittee of the school committee or a task force to make sure that the body is part of the conversation. Because sometimes we've had a challenge with that the body gets something at the end of the road that we may or may not have had input, even if we've had members on that body, because it's also a large burden on those members to add that responsibility. So I'm just flagging that to make sure that we're doing our best mechanism to make sure that this task force is getting the input from the body and that we're responding to thoughts, decisions in some consistent way. I mean, it doesn't have to be every meeting, obviously, but thank you.
That is brilliant, and I think as MSBA remains an unfinished business item, until it is finished, I think that can be a sub-bullet, after the meetings. I think that is a brilliant idea. I will also note for MSBA, we have to vote out, do you remember what it's called? We have to vote out something at the end of August, which Daryl keeps reminding me about. What? We have to have 2 meetings.
We've got 2 things.
We have to vote out 2 things, but we don't have to vote them out across multiple meetings. We can vote them out. Yeah, sorry. We have to vote out 2 things, but we can vote them out. It doesn't have to be 4 meetings. We can vote them out over 2 meetings. They will be special meetings. They're not going to be full meetings. They will be virtual. At this point, I think we're looking, people can, again, let me know if August 10th and 17th won't work. If we don't want to do Mondays because it's fully virtual, that's also a-okay. But that, tentatively is where those are going to land. And obviously reach out if, because I deeply want everyone to be part of this, so let me know if it's not going to work for you. That's all I have on MSBA. All right. Then I'm going to call that letter A done. So we're going on to new business. We have the Director of Special Education contract agreement. Do I have a motion?
Motion to authorize the chair and the superintendent to sign the contract agreement with the Director of Special Education.
I have a motion by Member Lippin, seconded by Member Green. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. All right. And we're on to B, the policy manual. So I'm going to kick it over to Member Bitone. Would you prefer we go cell phone policy first, student handbook first?
Why don't we do things in the order they're listed?
All right. So, district cell phone policy it is.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, Chair. Through you. So there are two things in the folder from last meeting. I think they're in still the last folder. In any case, one is the interim district cell phone policy, and one is a memo describing it. I want to commend Principal Kirsten and Director Daryl Nash for bringing before us and gathering feedback from across the district to help us prepare this. Again, this interim district cell phone policy addresses a gap in our policy manual, lest the state follow through with its mandate that every district have a cell phone policy in place, as one of the bills at the State House indicates, in place by September 1st. We want to be ready with that in place. The policy that is in our folder is consistent with how we are currently implementing cell phone policies across the district, and it also provides the written support that our educators need to implement the policy. So currently, sort of at the direction of the school leadership, teachers are instructed to, for example, if a student is using their phone in class, the teacher has the ability to remove the phone and hold on to it until after class. That puts the student and the teacher in a pose of conflict. And this policy is a direct support of our educators, letting them know that we have their back. This is our district policy. So I would take the words in the policy more seriously than the statement I just made, because I may have misstated elements of it. But I think the point that we're making here is that our intention with this is to back up the educators and make sure that our students are showing up ready to learn in class, and the teachers have students in front of them who are engaged.
I'm going to call on myself. I'm curious why we're calling it the interim district cell phone policy and not just the district cell phone policy. At least that's how it's in our agenda.
Thank you, Chair. So that is how it is titled in the agenda. If you look at the policy document itself, it just says district cell phone policy.
Okay. Are there other questions? Member Patone.
I just want to make a motion to approve the district cell phone policy.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Member Patone, seconded by Member Lippins. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. All right, on to the Somerville High handbook updates.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair. Let me pull that up. Okay. So over a series of meetings, Principal Kirsten presented the process by which she and the leaders at the high school had developed a proposal to update the high school handbook. She described a robust proposal that the administrative team had presented to students, to educators, and after soliciting feedback from staff, students, families, and the School Improvement Council, came back with final recommendations. I'm paraphrasing. The principal's memo describes in much greater detail, but it was a very robust process, and the changes proposed by administration changed substantively from the beginning to the end. So it did very much incorporate feedback, which I will just say from my vantage point, I really appreciate. The administration had envisioned larger changes, and after considering feedback, I think sort of backed off of bigger changes in some areas. So I'm not going to enumerate the changes listed in the handbook unless someone really wants me to. It's listed here. Suffice to say, the changes are more moderate and better align the policies in the handbook with practices that are currently in place at the high school, and addressing certain problem areas like use of IDs or parking. So I wouldn't say anything mind-blowing, but certainly welcome any questions anyone has about individual changes that are in this handbook change.
We're going to go counterclockwise. Member Pitone and then Member Eldridge.
I'm going to make a motion, but I also want to make it clear that people can, I think we skipped ahead from the last motion. People can ask questions and deliberate after the motion.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I concur.
Okay. So motion to approve the high school handbook changes, and then I just wanted to compliment this work, and also just wanted to flag one thing that I think is super exciting is the elimination of class rank. This is something that has been on the school committee agendas, and we knew that that actually had to come from the school. We decided ourselves that we didn't want to dictate down, it had to come bottom up, and I just feel like it creates a culture of collaboration. It eliminates the one-upmanship that sometimes happens with people feeling like they have to take 5 APs, and I just really feel very strong, and I'm curious if the students want to talk to it, awesome, but just bravo to the leadership and to the school.
Oh, Laura's mic was not on.
Oh, my bad. I'm just excited about the change of eliminating class rank. And that I think it's great for collaboration and community, and hoping that students follow their passions instead of feeling like they have to take 5 AP classes. So thank you.
All right. Do either of our student reps have thoughts or?
Yeah, I mean, oh my God. I'm a very big supporter in removing class rank, and I think it has done wonders for student mental health. And I think like I have personal, I guess, experiences with like thinking about class rank. And I think like this year, for example, like I had the opportunity to either take another AP class or to kind of do like an internship with working on like climate education initiatives with Jason Behrens, who is amazing. He is the project innovation specialist at Somerville Public Schools. But I think if class rank was still in, I think that would be a very, or I guess taking another AP course would be like a very much deciding factor in that, just because of the perceived GPA boost and things like that. And I think being like, I think me and Marley can both speak to this, but being like, I guess, like high achieving students or like things like that, and kind of having that image, it just, you feel a lot of pressure to do certain things just to kind of boost yourself. And especially like, I guess just having the removal of class rank really helped me explore different passions that I personally wouldn't have done before. So I just want to thank school administration for making that happen, and I'm super grateful for that change.
Yeah, I want to second that. This past year, both of us took 5 APs, and I think if that wasn't, if class rank had not been eliminated, I think instead of what I'm doing next year, which is taking a bunch of art and music classes, I would have felt pressured to have a really heavy schedule again. So I'm really glad that I'm able to do something which is more aligned with what I actually want to do as a career, instead of kind of loading up and being super competitive. So I'm really also thankful for that.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Jason Behrens, who is an SHS alum. All right, so we have a motion by Member Patone, seconded by Member Bitone. Any discussion? Member Eldridge.
Thank you, through the chair. Quick question, maybe it's listed somewhere else, but in a couple of these, well, first off, I want to say it's so great how it's all nicely laid out, like how it's like these are the changes and these are the reasons why. I love that. That is so wildly helpful. But I also wanted to ask a question in regard to some of the highlighted areas, like add 4, and I'm seeing 41, and then down at 42. The language around disciplinary action up to and including suspension, is there somewhere that talks a little bit more explicitly about like what happens in these scenarios, and when suspension is an appropriate option? I'm just trying to best understand, like, do you prop the door open and you could get suspended, or is that like after a couple of times? Like, I guess, does it mention somewhere else in more depth when something as serious as a suspension comes into play?
Is that to the district, which I assume it would be? I mean, these are all our policies, though. So, Dr. Selman, you have a thought?
A 9:51 p.m. thought, so maybe it won't be as coherent as I'd like it to be, but we try to, as the subcommittee for rules, we try to not get into the weeds in terms of some of the detailed questions that you're asking. We try to stay on the policy side, and have been working closely with Principal Kirsten. So some of those questions will definitely need to be readdressed to the superintendent, but just so you know that from like I think that's you're asking good questions. It's just that it's sort of outside of the purview of what we can do. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say there's a phrase like the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law, and that's this. We create the letter. The spirit is up to the district. The superintendent wants to respond, and then Member Bitone.
So I haven't had the conversation with Alicia, but usually that language is somewhat boilerplate. And it means that it gives you a wide range of options. If, let's say that a student does that, so another student comes in and steals a bike, or a student who does it repeatedly and just allows students to actually sneak in because they're coming in late, or they spend half of the day outside of the school and then come in the afternoon. So I think it's just the boilerplate language that, the same way that we have it in kind of in labor relations, is up to a certain response. But I can have a conversation with Alicia to see if that's exactly what was meant by the language. But that's usually how we have that margin of options. And just to follow up, is that question that you asked, well, does this merit a suspension? And I guess that's a question that will come based on what's the actual outcome or what is the impact of the behavior.
Member Bitone, do you want to follow up?
Sure, yes, please.
So Bitone, then Green.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, and I can't follow up the actual in practice implementation of this, but the policy manual does include an in-depth description of disciplinary regulations, which cites the state Massachusetts general laws, Chapter 71, a number of sections that address this. So there is copious text that is available for the context for that very short change that's included in the policy manual change.
Yeah, I was going to, Vice Chair Bertone took half I was going to say, which is that the handbook should include fairly detailed explanations of the procedures around suspensions in general. But what may be a useful data question is, has the administration ever recommended a student for suspension for propping a door open, and if so, what were the circumstances therein? And obviously, I don't expect you to answer that question right now, but that would be, I think, the data question that would be helpful.
President Davis.
Thank you, Chair Ackman. I have a question on the handbook changes in the policy, the attendance policy section, and this is initially just for my own understanding. And I'm looking at page 9 of the document that was in the packet from last week. This is where if there's a 17 absences for a semester course or 34 for a full year course, and the student has a passing average, then they earn a P rather than a grade. Whomever can you just explain, like, what's the use case there? What's the?
If I may.
So I'm not guessing.
Thank you, Chair. In response to the question, the case there that was described to us was when you have a student with a high GPA who wants to maintain, who is very motivated by trying to maintain a high grade point average, but for some reason there's an absence situation, which may be due to a medical situation or maybe due to some other situation beyond the student's control, that the school may, after evaluating the circumstances, decide rather than, if the student is really trying to get their work done and stressing out, to try to bump up their grade, that instead of, having them go all out and sacrificing situations at home, that they may be given a passing grade. It's a stress release and mental health mechanism.
I would also just note, as someone who's done a lot of college, like using that as the example, that a P is, it's like a hold harmless for your GPA. So I think that's part, I think given the example that he's given, it's, you're not going to get the A, but you also, if you're busting your butt, you're, forgive my language, sorry, but if you are putting in earnest work, but what has accumulated so far is only the educator would probably give a C, it's a hold harmless. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, it does, and that's kind of what I assumed it might be, but I think the key there is that, through that to the Vice Chair, is that there's some discretion, there's some conversation. If that grade is an A, despite all the absences, then the grade might continue. So it's to allow the May is doing a lot of work there.
Yes.
Right, but the point is that there's a conversation. That explains it to me, so I appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah, are you? Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Through the chair, unmuted. One little piece of the puzzle that I think is useful to keep in mind is that in other states as well, but in the Commonwealth, you have to have 4 years of English and 4 years of math to graduate. So in an instance that Member Bertone was describing, is you're having a troubled student, and we can figure out how to help them get to the end of that grade and still be able to move on to the next one is really huge, because what we know, the statistics of once you are held back, it gets much more complicated.
Member Bertone?
I just wanted to add on through you, Chair. Sometimes it's actually the parents trying to get who want it to be a letter grade, and the school may actually make the decision. That's where the may comes in. Say we may decide that this pass-fail is better for the student after evaluating the situation. So it really does hand power to the school to assist with the students' well-being in this circumstance.
Okay, we have a motion on the Somerville High Student Handbook by Member Patone, seconded by Member Bitone. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. We're going to skip over C. We're going to Superintendent Draft Goals, item D. Superintendent.
Yes, I have received feedback from, members of the team who wanted me to bring the discussion around goals early in the stage. I think if you look at the cycle of evaluation that the Department of Ed recommends is actually good practice to tease that out at the beginning of the summer and then start in early September with kind of a clear understanding of strengths and weaknesses. And so that's why we're bringing them to you for your review. What I did with these goals is basically is an extension of the work that was presented to you through the strategic plan that you saw today. So there are 5 goals in this document, and again, they all mirror the strategic plan that was shared through Amara and Sam Elegine. I think one thing that I wanted to highlight also is that instead of highlighting activities as the metric for the progress, I did identify several key performance indicators under each of the goals. And so hopefully they will guide us or guide you also in very specific measurement or measurable ways to determine if we are meeting the mark or not. I also, as per suggestion that I received, was to kind of establish a theory of action, if you will, behind the decision of why are we doing this. And under each category, I also asked the question, why is this important? So again, I was responding to the feedback that I was given. I also know that there is a work that is happening through the group that Laura Pitone is leading around the work of long-range planning. So those 2 things that happen at the same time, the strategic goals, ideally the strategic plan those are the goals, but some of them have to be translated into key performance indicators. So that's what you have here. So I don't know if you want me to go over each one of them. This is a draft document. This is up to you to, if you want to direct me in a certain way, please do so. But just know that also all these goals of the strategic plan are pegged to school improvement plans in every school. So that's how we try to create that alignment. Again, this is part of the process. The school committee does establish the goals, and then we implement them based on our best practices or best recommendations from the district.
With the knowledge that we will be seeing this again, and as the superintendent mentioned, our next item is talking about long-range planning, and we will be working on intertwining all of these and marrying them as we do that work that Member Pitone has agreed to lead. But again, given the hour and the knowledge that we will be seeing this again, I'm going to say that we will move on to item E, long-range planning.
Thank you, through the chair to the body. There's a document that was shared about a week and a half ago, and there were a few updates done. For people who are not aware of long range, school committee has the responsibility of governance for our district, so we own the what. What are we trying to accomplish? The superintendent owns how. How do we implement this? How do we take action? And one key part of our responsibility is creating school committee goals. And we currently have a group of school committee goals that are on the top of our agenda. If anybody's ever read our agenda, they're currently there. And originally, there was an interest, we discussed, we got a great report out from the superintendent talking about where we were with the goals in June of last year, and got the data, and the body decided that we knew there was going to be significant changes in our membership and didn't want to go through an active long-range process to update our goals until our new members were within the body and also have come up to speed, because we actually discussed doing this earlier this year, and there was just too much on the plate of the school committee, as well as, you know, watching our new members come on board and onboard into this work. So it's not ideal, obviously, that we're doing school committee goals and the superintendent is putting their goals, and we're doing this in parallel, but I've had some conversations with Dr. Stellman, I've had conversations with Dr. Ackman, and saying we are going to do these in parallel. The way I frame it is that any type of goal setting or strategic planning is something organic. It evolves. To say that our plan is static and it's going to stay the same exact way for 5 years means that we're not going to learn and grow. And as we do this work, our fantastic strategic plan was based on our original school committee goals and amazing outreach that this district did, especially with formally not represented populations of families and students, to understand the values, what the challenges were, look at the data, and make a plan moving forward. And now our work as a school committee to revisit our long-range goals is just the next step in that evolution. So we're going to constantly doing this type of work where we evolve. Just for history, you know, there's our current school committee goals, there's the strategic plan from the district, there was a June 2025 report out on the school committee goals, and our current today's strategic plan update, and we also had one mid-year. So these are all things that can serve this work. Our responsibility is to reflect the values of the district, meaning the community. We as school committee members represent our constituents, and creating these high-level and measurable goals are our responsibility. So the request here was any feedback on the concept, because we're going to start, Member Eldridge is the vice chair of Long Range, and we're going to get started on this work this summer. So if people feel like we're misdirected or there's something significant, it either can be discussed here or it can come to us offline. We requested some resource, whether it was a district resource or whether or not we hire a third party to help with this process, because we can do a lot of the lifting, but in terms of getting data together and or physically facilitating this group through a process, I feel very strongly that the members of the body and the superintendent and the key players that are going to be involved in this are not going to be the facilitators, because we all want to participate in this process. And, you know, the concept of the timing, which is wanting to start some of this work this summer and then roll it out in the fall. And then there's a question mark, and we don't need to answer this now, but, you know, if and when, how we engage with the community, because we don't want to fatigue our community. We know that the district does a lot of community outreach and input, and can we piggyback on that work? But historically, just so people know, we had decided as a body not to do any active direct outreach, but that we represented what we already had, what we came to the table with, and did that work. So I'm putting it out there if anybody has questions, comments, concerns. But I feel very comfortable that we can do this work all in parallel, and if we really have, I think it's what I frame it as, it's a refinement or sort of an adjustment of focus. We're not going to be, the strategic plan is such a good framing, we're not going to be off the mark on what's going here. It's just there may be places that the school committee really wants to focus its energy and achieve, because it is a broad strategic plan. So anyway, thank you, and if anybody has any thoughts at 10 o'clock on 10:08 on our last meeting, you can email me or bring it up, whatever you want.
And like Member Patone said, this is not the last you'll be hearing of it. So I think much like the point that you made about the task force, we can also be, well, we'll all be involved doing some reporting out, I think is a great idea. Okay. So this next part for those who are new members, we want to enable the district to do what it needs to do as far as like responsibility and monetarily over the summer. So that is C, F, G, and all the things under H. Just as a point of reference. So I'm going for, are we out of quorum? Okay. I'm going for item C, transfer of funds. Do I have a motion?
Chair, I move to transfer $150,000 from our salary personnel account to our OM non-personnel account. These surplus dollars will be reallocated to our OM non-personnel budget to prepay out-of-district tuitions for students with IEPs.
Second.
Oh, yep. Go ahead. President Davis is going to recuse himself. So I'm going to draw out 1, 2, oh, I see. That's why we did that. All right. Okay, so I have a motion by Member B. Tone, seconded by Member Green. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All right. We should be, let's see. Pay bills on school department accounts. Can you do that or no? Yes? Okay, great. So we're going to welcome President Davis back. So C is all set, and on to F, National School Lunch and Breakfast.
Schools to start and to vote to participate in the National School Lunch and Breakfast Program, in the nutrition program, in conformity with requirements of the State Bureau of Nutrition Education and School Food Services for the 2026-2027 school year as previously year.
Second.
Okay, Member Green's mic wasn't on, so I'm just going to note that he put forth a motion to, that the superintendent, schools, and the school committee vote to participate in the National School Lunch and Breakfast Program and the Commodity Food Distribution Program for the 26-27 school year as in previous years. That was a motion by Member Green, seconded by Member Patone. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Fantastic. Now we are on to G, Student Accident Insurance.
Is my mic on?
Yes.
Motion to approve the superintendent advising that the contract for student accident insurance for the 2026-2027 school year has been renewed with Moron Insurance Agency, 23 Spruce Street, Suite B, Malden, Massachusetts 02148. Below are the rates, which are the same as last year. Do I need to read them?
No, because we don't actually vote on this. We just have to acknowledge it.
Oh, we receive it and place on file. Okay, great. Then we have received that, and we have a motion by Member Lippin, seconded by Member Patone to receive it. So we don't vote. You know what? I'm just going to vote on it just in case. All right. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right. So that is going to be placed on file. Great job getting the same rate as last year.
Chair, may I?
That didn't happen with my insurance. Yes, Member Bitone.
I just want to note that this insurance plan includes rock wall coverage. So this enables use of the rock wall at the high school gymnasium.
That is quite a victory. All right, we are on to item H, authorization for summer months.
A motion to authorize the superintendent to act on the school committee's behalf to pay bills on school department accounts for which commitments have been made or bid or purchase order before the close of schools. Said bills to be ratified by the committee at the first meeting in September. Keep going, right?
Yep.
Expend the FY 2027 salaries account fund for payments of salaries of personnel under all federal grants beginning in September. Expend the FY 27 salaries account funds for payment of salaries of personnel as detailed in the FY 26 balanced budget. D, use salaries account and school operations account funds to pay encumbrances and salaries for summer programs. E, authorize and/or reauthorize school department revolving accounts to accept all monies received by the school committee in connection with the conduct of said revolving accounts according to the purposes of the program or programs from which the recipients of each account were derived. And F, accept all state and federal grant monies awarded through the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Department of Early Education and Care, and to authorize the establishment of separate grant accounts that may be expended by the school committee without further appropriation for the purposes designated in each grant proposal.
Second.
All right, that was beautiful. I have a motion by Member Piccione, seconded by Member Green. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, authorization for the summer months is set. We're going on to item Roman numeral 10. I just want to note the upcoming meeting topics, MSBA. We do have an executive session coming up on Wednesday. Unlike most executive sessions, we are going to re-enter public sessions to publicly vote on what we voted on in that executive session so that we don't have to reconvene in another separate meeting in order to take those votes. Does that, like on a separate day? So I just want to be sure that everyone gets that. Dr. Stellman, I'm happy to talk to you about it if it, okay. Okay, I just wanted to be clear about that. And then in August, we'll be talking about MSBA. Those will be special meetings, not full meetings. We are on to community or calendar items from committee members. Member Eldridge.
I have two items that I would like to address tonight. Want to point out the Ward 2 Slice of the City on Wednesday, June 24th from 5 to 7 at Lincoln Park. Hope everyone can join. Pizza is a real motivating factor, so at minimum, please come enjoy pizza. It's why my 7th grader went to his school dance. The only reason there was pizza. So hope to see you there. Also, I can get back in line for my second, or?
I'm gonna go for it.
All right, sounds good. There's no line. I wanted to propose to, or I float the idea to my colleagues about participating in the Back to School Fair that's put on by Somerville Public Schools on August 25th from 4 to 6 p.m. I was wondering if there was any interest, and we can continue this conversation in hosting a school committee table. Happy to do the legwork and the organizing, but I think it'd be a really great opportunity to meet our families where they're at and our constituents where they're at. Not this past year, but the year prior, because I don't think there's data yet for this past year, there was over 1,000 people in attendance, and really great opportunity to connect with the community. So happy to do the legwork. If anyone's available and wants to join, we can, continue this conversation, but I wanted to float the idea.
Thank you. Member Green.
Through you to Member Eldridge, I want to be clear. Are you saying a table is separate from the district table? Because I wasn't there last year's, but the year before I was there, and we just did it with the district. And I'm just curious, are you saying that, or are you saying a separate table just for school committee?
So I wasn't aware of the one that occurred for the district the year prior, but depending on where we're at with long-range planning, there's the possibility of engaging public feedback and trying to, solicit thoughts and ideas. So maybe being a distinct table would make the most sense if we're further enough along in the long-range planning piece of things.
Thank you. Member Bichon.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, I also have two things, if I may. I just want to take a moment here to just reflect that we are at the end of this school year, and I want to thank all of our educators for the tremendous work that they've done with our students. You've made an important contribution this year. I want to congratulate all the families and students, and I think it's just important that we just acknowledge this is our last meeting of the school year as well, so I hope everyone has a great summer. This has been a really challenging school year in some respects for many families, and there's also a lot to celebrate. So I hope everyone has a terrific summer. So that leads me to my next item, which is that Our meetings are over for the school year, but school committee members are school committee members year-round. So please continue to reach out to us. I really encourage members of the community to reach out, email. If you see us walk in the street, pull us aside, chat. It's a great thing to be in community with people and get your feedback once the frantic times of the school year are over. So just really encourage people to take this time. If things are a little slower, I know sometimes summers are hectic, but reach out. We still are thinking about the next school year, how to continue to put our foot on the accelerator and keep things moving forward in the right direction. So, public appeal.
All right, Member Patone.
And just quickly through the chair to Member Eldridge, it's August 24th at 4 p.m. Where? Saginaw, that's why I'm asking.
Tuesday, August 25th from 4 to 6 p.m. at Somerville High School.
Thank you.
No problem.
I also want to note, per the request of one of our members, we are going to, in the new school year, switch, or I'm going to do my best to switch from member to rep. So the request has been made, and I will do my best to honor it. Starting in August, not on Wednesday. Yeah, we'll be going from, I will be going from member to rep, because we are elected representatives of our wards and of city council and the city. All right. With that, Vice Chair, do we have condolences?
We do.
Okay.
The school committee offers its deepest condolences to Catherine Katie Weigel, dedicated educator at the Winter Hill Community Innovation School.
We're adjourned.